Welcome to the July 2023 Midsummer edition of Traction REIA Online. Totally online this month to be able to bring you a very special session. We got 4 awesome investors in the spotlight, and we have a 5th awesome investor doing our market update, specifically on pricing strategy. So quite an interesting evening you are in for now. If you don't know who I am, I'm Tom Zeeb, president of Traction REIA. Been president for about coming up 15 years. Wow, time flies. 15 years ago, this month we were working on it, and then August would mark the 15th. So yeah, just shy of 15 years, which is totally awesome. Because before I feel like the hair club president, because before I was a member, before I was a president, I was also a member. So this is the group that got me rolling. Because that's an inside joke. I think I feel like the hair club president for many reasons, as the case may be. But this group got me moving, got me rolling, got me my freedom, got me out of my job, changed everything financially for me. And that's why I'm happy to be president of it, so I can pass that on to everybody else. Everyone's at a different point in your life. You're at a different point in your investing. You're in a different point of where you want to be. And you'll notice that that point that you're at changes. Like everybody changes every couple of years, things kind of pivot for you. So as a clever investor, as a shrewd investor, as a smart investor, which I want you all to be, you got to roll with those punches and change as you change, and as your needs change, and as your family changes, maybe as your interest changes. You might start off doing one kind of investing, and then you'll shift into another, and then you shift into another one after that, another one after that, because that's a-okay. You know, usually people are looking to build some cash up at the beginning. Then they tend to work into getting in some cash flow, maybe some rentals, some long-term holds, have your money working for you, all the different ways that there are of making money in business, and specifically in the real estate investing business. We're here to support you on all of those. I guess if I were to put that into Rich Dad terms, and most people are familiar with the Rich Dad series, you remember cash flow quadrant. There were 4 types of businesses. There were 4 types of ways of earning money: as an employee, as self-employed, as a business owner, and as an investor. And obviously we're not focusing much on being employees here. We want to get you over on the right hand side of the quadrant as business owner and investor. Admittedly, many of us move kind of from employee down into self-employed first, because you tend to do a lot of self-employed activities as an investor at the beginning. And then as you mature and grow, you'll systemize more, become more like that business owner. But if you just have your money working for you, and the same things you've learned here, you can invest in other people's deals doing that, and that brings you into the investor category. So for each of those quadrants, we've got you covered, particularly our 3 favorites: the S, the D, and the I. So totally awesome. Let me share my screen, and we are going to show you a bunch of things. So I said welcome. You know who I am now. Cool. Quick disclaimer: since Traction REIA is about making money in real estate investing, I got to tell you, there is absolutely no guarantee that you will make money in real estate investing. In fact, you could lose money if you don't do things right. But we don't want you to lose money. You're not supposed to be losing money. So learn what you're doing, and that's a large part of why you're here, so you can figure out the right way of doing things and do it that way, and figure out the wrong way of doing things and avoid doing it the wrong way. So well, now we can talk like grown adults, as my attorney says after they help me write that thing up and make sure it's on the screen. So I don't know exactly how you found us or why you're here. It might be on social media, it might have been tell a friend, but I would love if you go tell another friend about us, or give a thumbs up, or share a post on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, wherever you might have found us. Because it helps us more. It helps us meet more great people just like you when we are spreading the word about something you like, something you enjoy. Fantastic. Speaking of Facebook, we have a new and improved Facebook community group. So we've happily relaunched it. So if you just search for Traction, jump on the search for Traction Real Estate Investors, you'll find that page. Click join, and we'll let you in if it's good. Kelly is our community manager, so we should keep things moving, and the Facebook group will be as useful and as valuable and as active as you make it. All right, so it does. It's a community, so you can carry on the kind of the cool sessions we just had for a half hour, right? You know, you're talking with each other, getting to know each other, doing deals with each other, sharing information with each other. You can be doing that online as well. So jump into the Facebook group and make that happen. The more active you are, the more active it will be, and the more valuable it becomes for everybody. Also, take a minute, this minute, and have a look. I'm going to make sure my phone, yep, on silent, just to make sure you're not disturbed for the next hour and a half or so. We'll be in good shape, and you don't want to lose out on anything because somebody decides to call you. So take a peek at that. Now let's find that Zoom chat. Let's make a little bit of noise in the chat. Tell me where you're at. I know we got people from all over the place. I'm going to prep by making my chat box as big on the screen as possible, but I know I'm about ready to get a ridiculous amount of people telling me where they are dialing in from, calling in from tonight. It'd be awesome. Clothes in Maryland, Nick's in Sarasota, Paul is in Sterling, Virginia, Christy coming in from New Jersey. Now please move me fast. This is if I can get control over this. So David in Clinton, Maryland, Rosalba in Oregon, Jolene in Texas, Ginny's in Sun City Center, Florida, Joy's in Ashburn, Virginia. We got Mike in Sarasota, Darren in Maryland, Florian in Canada. Oh, Canada. Hello, welcome. Might be our, let's see if anyone else comes in from overseas. That would be good. We got Jerry in Atlantic City, New Jersey, Randolph Smith from Fredericksburg, Virginia, Bill Tillers in Bethesda, Maryland, Stevens also in Maryland. He's down in Silver Spring. Tommy's in Chicago. Ben is in Silver Spring, Maryland. Diane's in Kansas City. P. Roberts, welcome. You're in the DMV, the nation's capital. You're not from the DMV. You may not know that acronym is DC, Maryland, and Virginia. The DMV. Don't think she's calling in from where you get your driver's license renewed. And Horace is in Alexandria, Virginia. Brunhilde in Maryland. Angela's in Silver Spring. All right, we've got a really, we've got a good spread. Totally awesome. So welcome to everyone. No matter where you're coming in from, it's fun that way. It's one of the cool things about our Zoom meetings is that you know, we get to kind of get the whole crew back together. These Zoom meetings are a slight holdover from COVID, and by popular demand, we're doing 3 to 4 of them totally online each year. It's nice to have everyone back in person when we're there, but people are still like, hey, you know, we're not in the area, or it's hard to beat traffic, or it's just really nice to be online. So we get it, and we're doing a little bit of both by popular demand. Also, speaking of popular demand, my podcast, the new season 5, but we've renamed it, refocused it this year on specifically on real estate negotiations, called The Art and Science of Real Estate Negotiation, and we'll go through why as we go through these episodes. But negotiation is definitely an art, but more important is the science that's underlying it. So these are some awesome trainings and interviews that are totally free for you to listen in to or watch on YouTube, and you'll enjoy them. You'll get a lot out of them. And I'm going to admit to kind of bucking the trend of with the way podcasts seem to be going lately. Everyone seems to want a 6-minute podcast or a 12-minute podcast or a 15-minute podcast. Mine usually go for about an hour. So it's long form. I know it's a little old school, but I find there to be a very good reason for that. I want to have interviews with somebody and dig deep and get through the questions. I don't want to rush that and just skim the surface in a 12-minute chat. It's about an hour to really dig down into what someone's doing and how they've been successful and why. You'll be able to share that. So I think they're worth it. I'm obviously biased because it's my podcast, but look, have a listen. Go to tomzeeb.com and listen to any of the episodes. I think you'll enjoy them, and maybe you'll even get hooked on it, which would be great. And 2 things, I guess, you know, podcasts, you like the sound of my voice, awesome. You can also read in my book. Go to Amazon.com, type in Tom Zeeb, you'll see how to correctly flip houses for profit. There's also an audio version of this that's been out for a couple months now. So jump in on that as well. You'll be in good shape. And we have an app for your phone. Still the only app in the real world. So all the realtors across the country, Traction is the only one that's managed to have an app and keep it up and running. And I'll tell you, just had to reboot a bunch of stuff on the app again the other day because they are constantly changing the requirements to have an app compliant with the App Store. And even Google's getting tough now. Google used to be a lot looser with what they had in the Play Store. But they're all there, but we are still compliant. It's still running. So you can hit that, point your phone's camera at that QR code. It'll jump you over there, whether you are Android or Apple. It'll bring you to the right place. You'll download the Traction app and have everything in one spot. You can listen to the podcast through there. You can read the daily trainings through there. You can get our events calendar, all the video trainings from YouTube. Basically, it's everything Traction in one spot. So go ahead and enjoy that. Sometimes we do app-only specials as well. So you'll be privy to those if you are an app-only special. Carolina, yeah, I didn't go through some specific things for the time, but it's time for deal makers. Has anyone sent you a note about a deal they want to announce? Traction members, if you have something specific, I think the easiest way right now would be to just unmute and say hello if you have a deal you want to pitch to the group. If not, that is okay too. I don't hear anyone. So let's let me ring
Tom.
David Hayes. Awesome.
Tom?
Sorry about that, Tom.
It's all right. Oh,
I have a home that will be coming on the market this fall, but I'd rather not go to the market with it.
all right.
It's an old home that should be torn down. It's in Riverdale. It's walking distance to one of the new Purple Line stations. And it's they've rezoned it. So it's 2 lots. The home is on 2 lots, but it's been rezoned for townhouse. So if there's a builder locally, or if there's a wholesaler who has a builder locally who wants to build, I could probably get the seller to play games with you and be invested in that. And I'd love to keep it in-house if I can.
All right. So tear down. Where did you say it was? Which state?
Riverdale, Maryland.
Riverdale, Maryland. All right. Maryland investors. Claude, I know you've got your number on your profile there, but could you say it out loud?
703-868-7774.
Awesome. Good work.
Again, 703-868-7774. And I think Carolina just sent it. Thank you, Carolina.
Chat as well. That's cool. Who else was on this? David Hayes.
Hello, everyone.
Okay.
I have something that I am actually signing the contract on tomorrow. It's a townhouse. It's right, I guess it's about 3 blocks from Prince George's Community College in Prince George's County, Maryland.
Okay.
The comps are going to be right about 300,000. We're asking 130,000 for it. It needs some tender loving care. And if someone's interested, let me know. I put my information in the chat, and I will give them my spec sheet so they know exactly how I came to the pricing for the renovations. Again, David Hayes, my phone number is 202-270-5069. And my email is thepropertygym, GYM, @gmail. And if I don't hear from anybody within the next week and a half, I'm probably just going to go ahead and renovate it and flip it myself. But I will, open it up to Traction REIA first.
Cool. All right.
Thank you.
And thanks for reading out your name, email, and number. Because when this goes out on replay, people don't see what's in the chat. So perfect. Yep. And then David's on the success panel coming up in a few minutes. Awesome. Thanks, David. Anyone else with a deal makers? Going once, going twice. All right. So it is Carolina's turn. Come on over, Carolina. If you got the newsletter, that's cool. Come on over. We're doing the low tech switch over here as we go. All right. Welcome, Carolina.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Good to see some of you on this side. Okay. Where's the remote? Oh, here. Yeah. Hello. Right here. Okay. let me tell you about more things about Traction. But before that, we always like to thank our staff, ambassadors, and volunteers. They are so fantastic. So I want to say thank you to Crystal and Dwayne. They help us on this DC events. That's one of my favorite photos. This was on a picnic a few years ago, and they are part of our Traction family. And I always like to take this opportunity to say thank you to them. And in Florida, we also have Ginny, Mark, and Samantha. We thank you so much for your help in Sarasota and Tampa. Thank you so much. Okay, so if you're joining us for the very first time, Traction is the official approved chapter for the National Real Estate Investors Association for the entire DC metro area that covers the district, Southern Maryland, and then Northern Virginia. And we also cover all the territory on Tampa, Sarasota, Clearwater, St. Petersburg. So we are really proud to be the official chapter. That means that National REIA has given us and only us the official chapter stamp, because we were the only ones that check all the boxes in terms of local meetings, in person, online. We renew local speakers, national speakers, and we also fight for you. We're always keeping an eye on what's going on any regulations, either in the state level or the federal level, that affect us as investors. There's so many things that can, in 2 seconds, change the game. So we're always keeping an eye on it. That's also one of the benefits of being part of Traction, that we are lobbying for you. We're keeping an eye on what's going on, and we're gonna keep you updated. Any changes, anything regarding to your rentals, your investments, the way we do business. So that's another big element of what being part of the National REIA is all about. Good news, if you didn't hear from our posts or on our social media, we just won the 2023 Award of Excellence. We were just for the National REIA meeting, the mid-year conference. This is where all the REIAs around the country get together to get updates, to be trained also as REIA leaders to be better for you, our members. And then my favorite part of the meeting is when they do awards. So I work hard for this. We work hard so we can continue to have Traction as a 5-star REIA. We are really proud of this award, but it's just one more motivation for me personally to give you guys the best of the best. So that's our award. And guess what? The past 14 years. You know how I know how many years we have been leaders of Traction is because my son, Tommy, was born at almost at the REIA meeting in January 2009. So this is how I know how many years. These are all the awards that we have won over the past 14 years. Really proud of them. And I hope that I can continue to do one more year every time. Let's talk about our sponsors for a minute. We're going to bring Clear Sky. I don't know if Charlie is here yet.
Sam's here for Charlie today.
Oh,
Charlie
hi,
will be jumping on in a few minutes. Hi.
Hold on, let me.
Everybody. Yeah, Clear Sky. We do hard money loans. We're happy to help you with your fix and flips, help you get DSCR loans after you've flipped them and you've got tenants, or do transactional funding. DC, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, Florida. Hope to be of
You guys have
service.
been Traction sponsors for so many years, and
Oh, yes, right. Yes,
we love this partnership. So Sam, we normally put your contact information on the chat. Tony can grab it from the newsletter. That's
thank
right.
you. Yeah.
But yeah, just tell us a few of the products that you have for investors. I know you have different products. You have a few for quick renovations, so you have a few more minutes to share with
Yeah,
us.
sure enough. So most common one that we get is people who want to do a fix and flip property. So you got about 9 months if you're in Virginia or Maryland, maybe a year if you're in DC. It's an interest-only product. Generally, it's about 3 points to originate it, and it's we can load the payments into the loan itself. Well, I think a couple of our main value propositions with this loan type is that we do if you have a draw schedule, say for $100,000 in renovations, the first draw of and it was 4 draws. The first draw of 25,000 will advance to you the day after closing directly to your contractor or to you, wherever you prefer. And then from there, you'll meet some milestones, and then we'll be ready to do this draw 2. So that's how we get distinguish ourselves from a lot of people. Now, if you have your title ready, we can close in about 2 days. If you haven't done any title work as of yet, and you're just getting rolling, usually it takes about a week to 10 days to get closed. Now, if you have transactional fundings where you're trying to, keep a wall between you and the next folks, and you want to close it and record, we're there for that too. We can do it same day, transactional funding, and get repaid on that same day. So those are just 2 of the products that work well for people. And we finance primarily residential flip properties, but we also do some commercial work. We've done marinas and a whole variety of things. So
Awesome.
happy to be of
One of my
service.
favorite things, Sam, is that you guys are not looking at my credit or how much money I'm making, but you're focusing directly on the property. So that's one of the beauties of the way you guys structure the model.
You're exactly right. These are asset-based loans. So what you'll do, the process is you'll send us the address of the property, what you think the after repair value is, what you project is the budget, and then we'll work backwards from there and see if we can get numbers that match up to yours, provided we agree. We get about 70% of the ARV, it just depends on the case by case. We're looking at them, but they're asset-based loans and we don't run credit.
Awesome. Thank you. And I love it that you guys are also like a second set of eyes, because you have told some of our members, say, like, this is not a deal. Like, no, you shouldn't do this deal, because you're also telling them, hey, maybe the numbers don't work. Maybe you need to renegotiate and make it work. So thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you.
I think Tom put the contact info on the chat. So they have information, and thank you guys for being a sponsor of Traction.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Can
Thank
you
you.
tell us where you do loans again, Sam, because somebody's asking?
Sure, we do them in Virginia, Maryland, DC, North Carolina, Delaware, I think a bit, and Florida.
Beautiful. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, let's see who we have next. Hello, where are you? There you go.
Does it help you if I speak?
Yeah, I found
Okay.
you. Woo.
Okay, cool. I gotta learn from Sam and Charlie. They have, I need to get a banner behind me, right? So, hi guys, Claude Labby, Realty for Your Busy Life here in the DC area. A lot of my clients are investors, and on one of the breakout rooms, we were talking about mobile homes. And just to follow up on last month's speaker, right? Like, mobile homes are a great investment. So if you're looking to buy a mobile home, I'm not going to make quite the same commission as if I sell your $1 million home, but you know what? Talk to me. We'll help you buy a mobile home, because the returns are just amazing. But I do help people figure out what the values are. When you're trying to buy something to flip, you want to find out what the value is today and what the value is going to be when you're done the renovation, right? So as David said some time ago, today's value is 100,000. Does that make sense? And then when you're going to sell 300,000, does that make sense as well? You want to validate both numbers. So give me a shout out to do that, and I'll help you figure out what your numbers are. Close that briefly for Your Busy Life. And I think my contact info was in the chat like 10 minutes ago.
Thank you
Now,
so much.
just
Also, we
just
love
for
the
just for the
partnership.
audio, I'm going to repeat it anyway.
Yes.
703-868-7774. Thank you for allowing me to interrupt you there, Caroline.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that also this has been an amazing friendship and partnership, because you've been with Traction for almost the entire amount of time.
It's been fun. It's been fun.
We love this little family here. Thank you, Claude.
Thanks.
Okay, next we have Deal Machine. This is a really, really cool app. It's a software that is going to help you with finding deals, specifically with driving for deals or skip tracing. We want you to go to this link, tractionrea.com/deal-machine, which Tom will kindly put on the chat for me. And we we have a great deal with Deal Machine. You can do a free trial, you can test it out. And we love this app, we love this software, and we love seeing our members and students succeed making deals using this app. So take a look at that. A really special deal that we have with them, tractionrea.com/deal machine. This is just one more resource for you guys to improve your real estate business. Another great partnership that we have is with Home Depot. And because we're the chapter of National REIA, we are able to extend all the benefits to you, our members. These are some of the benefits that you will get once you join our association. 20% of liquid paint, doesn't matter if you buy 1 gallon, 100 gallons, if it's bare, PPGs, if it's primer, it doesn't matter the color of the paint, you will always get 20% off. Another great benefit is cabinets. It's a special program that we have with Woodmark, which is one of the cabinet companies. Another one is the 2% cash back. This is beautiful. We love it. Pretty much Home Depot will look at how much you have spent from January to June, and they will literally issue you a rebate, a cashback rebate with 2% of whatever you have spent, and they'll send you a check, and then again, July to December. So we are in July, right? So all my Traction REIA members who are current on your dues, who have registered for the rebate, you should be getting your rebates in the next couple of weeks. If by the end of August you haven't received it, please reach out to me. But this is an amazing benefit that is exclusive to Traction because we're members of the National REIA program. So that's 2% cash back. And then in general, they're going to look at you completely different because Traction in both chapters, we spend almost 50 million a year, just us and at Home Depot. They love us, we love them, so they're going to look at you different. So I want you to always go to the Pro Desk, tell them that you're part of the National REIA program. They can see that in your profile when they pull up your phone number, and then they're going to just treat you different. The discount is going to depend on what you're buying, where you're buying it, when you're buying it. But in general, they're just going to look at you different because we have so much buying power, literally. This is my son, Dominic, who I always say was not hurt during this photo. But this is one of our trips to Home Depot when he was very little. I don't think he fits in the bucket anymore. Oh, maybe. But he's here to remind you, have you registered for the rebate? Once you join Traction, we send you a very simple 5-step instruction that you have to follow to set up your rebate. This is a reminder that please check it out. If you don't remember, if you don't know, if you want to check, please email me. I'm always available. Normally by email is the best. Carolina@tractionrea.com, and I will walk you through it. And if you have any specific questions, I will connect you directly with our Home Depot liaison. They can look up your account and see if you're properly set up. This is what your Pro Extra account should look like when you log into website on homedepot.com, or if you open the Home Depot app and you click on Pro Extra, you should see this. It should say, oh, hello, Carolina. You are gold paint. You have a gold paint status. That means that you will always get 20% off. So I want you to, at some point today, just log into your account. If you're a Traction REIA member, you should have this little gold paint sticker in there. If you do not, please let me know and we'll fix it. But this is what's going to give you the 20% off the entire time. If you place an order online, if you go to the store, any interaction you have with Home Depot, you should at least have this gold paint reward status. We also have other benefits and partnerships, even healthcare plans, FedEx discount, Office Depot. The Office Depot, I also like to point out that you will be saving a lot on just regular business items that we buy, right? They are changing the brand, or they changed the brand. It's now called ODP. I don't know why, because I really like the word Office Depot or Office Max, but it's the same benefits. And if you have any questions or the discount card change, it's always on our website under the member area. FedEx, you're gonna save on any shipping that you do. And I always say, whatever you save here, then use it on your marketing to get more leads, to get more deals. You will also get access to our dashboard. That's where you're gonna have all the membership benefits, instructions, because if you don't understand my lovely Colombian accent, then you just go into the website, download the member benefits guide, Home Depot instructions, and it's written in plain English. You also get a membership card. This will give you points, rewards, however you want to call it. Every time you attend a event, could be DC, could be Sarasota, could be this, could be an online, could be a Saturday class. You will receive a stamp. Once you reach 10 events, we'll give you a gift. You can choose between 3 months of membership and entry to a Saturday or a $50 gift card. So if after tonight you're completing 10, just take a photo of your physical membership card, email it to me, and I'm happy to send you over your gift. So by now you should, if you're not an attraction member, you should join us. Very simple, yes or no. And today, July 27th, we have this very special, I'm gonna call it the Godfather Special, because it's an offer you cannot refuse. If you join by 10 p.m. tonight, we are gonna give you 40% off your first year of membership. 196 minus 40, it'll be 156 for your first year of membership. And we're also gonna give you a $15 Home Depot gift card. Yes, is that cool? That's big. That's why I call it a Godfather Special, because it's an offer you cannot refuse. So if you're a brand new member of Traction, this is your lucky day. You can go in directly to our link that Tom is about to put on the chat, and it will say special 156. And then once you receive your registration, then I will send you your gift card. Oh, but I'm already a member of Traction. It doesn't matter. You can, let's say you renew in January, do it again, because you're gonna pay for 1 year at a discount. And then our system will recognize your email, and then it will extend whatever current membership you have. We'll just add 1 year. Whether you're a brand new member joined in today, or if you've been a member for a long time, take advantage of this special. Pretty much we're giving you a year with a $40 discount, not 40%, $40 off, and a $15 gift card. So go to this. Oh, this is not the link, right, Tom? It's not Traction REIA special, right?
I'm sorry.
It's July. So Tom is gonna put the link on the website, not on the website, on the chat. It's tractionrea.com/July special. Tractionrea.com/July special. Whether you have been a member for a long time, or you are you have expired, or this is the first time you're visiting us, join now, because your first year or 1 year, you're only gonna pay 156 for the entire year. Take advantage of this offer, and then you get the $15 gift card for the Home Depot. Whether you're a member or a brand new one, I will send that over to you. So that is a Godfather Special, and is valid until today, July 27th, until 10 p.m. Okay, and then Tom put the link, and then I'm gonna pass it back to Tom. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Carolina. All right. So, July special, yeah, awesome. Nice little midsummer membership special for everyone. Good stuff. Also, so a couple weeks ago, home in Buffalo, and that is also where Nick Sidoti is from. And it was coincidental because I had a couple members ask me, they said, what do you know about special needs housing? I've heard about special needs housing. How does special needs housing work? Is it really as good as it seems? How does it work? Dealing with the VA hospitals, dealing with graduate students, dealing with all different kinds of different ways of being a real estate investor, and also that aren't Airbnb. I mean, Airbnb's got that gets all the glamour lately. Everyone talks about Airbnb and vacation rental by owner, but what about just kind of some classic special need housing? So I've talked, Nick is interesting. When you meet Nick on Monday, you can't call him a shy guy, and yet he's sometimes like, I don't like being online, probably just not that good with computers. And he just loves being in person, but I said, look, let's get you on a webinar because he's not traveling as much as he used to. So I said, good. So Monday night webinar, Nick Sidoti, starting 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific, etc. And how can you get 3 times the market rent by focusing on special needs housing? Nick's got a very interesting system that's got a very different angle on it. And special needs housing is a lot of, the checks are paid to you by the government. So they kind of literally come out like clockwork. It's good mailbox money, so to speak, but it's all electronic transfer these days anyway. So it's not, your mailbox not filling up with checks, it's your bank account filling up with automatic transfers, and we like it that way. So if you go to tractionreal.com/Sidoti, you'll be registered for Monday's webinar on Zoom. And you could also just go to tractionreal.com. You'll see it on the calendar and on the home page as well. So looking forward to that webinar with Nick. He loves to call himself Dr. Cashflow, and he is literally the doctor of cash flow. It's good that way. Now, special market update tonight. Claude asked for the month off, was very curious as to what Nick had presented previously in Sarasota. I said, let's have Nick do it. So Nick, let's see, Nick is on here. Well, I got all these
I'm right here.
There he is. Let's see.
I am shy though, Tom. I am.
Oh
shy.
yeah, you're a shy guy. You're the shyest of shy guys I've ever met, Nick. The funny thing is, Nick, I can't find your little window. There you are. All right, let me see. Add the spotlight. Good. All right, Mr. Shy Nick guy, welcome. And we're going to talk pricing. I found your pricing presentation, like how pricing strategy, how to come up with it. Excellent way of thinking about real estate. Actually, think about a lot of different pricing strategies for any sort of business. And I think that's be a great thing to share with people, Nick. So I know you have a presentation. Go ahead and share your screen. We'll
I'm gonna wait. I'll just give my little intro and then I'll share it and figure it all out.
All right, then I'll get rid of my screen and you're on your screen. And Nick's down in Sarasota, Florida, previously from
San Diego.
Yep, so totally awesome. He's got literally the entire United States covered. So Nick, take it away.
Coast to coast. So hey folks, thanks for having me. My name is Nicholas Iannitti. I do run a husband and wife team with my beautiful wife, Jennifer, who's also on here. We've been in real estate for quite some time. We've helped hundreds of clients. Started out in the San Diego market, was there for a very long time. And then in the past year and a half, moved here to Sarasota and met Tom in Carolina. And we've just been loving traction. And about 2 months ago, I think it was, Tom had me present to the group. And what I did basically was just an overarching thing and kind of what you really should be looking for in a realtor when you're choosing your realtor. And through my presentation, I touched on this brief, 3 ways to price a property that I've always educated all my clients on. And afterwards, Tom was like, I want you to share that with the rest of the group. So I said, sure, not a problem. So I'm going to hop in here real quick. I'm going to share my screen and I'll do this. And I got to start this slideshow. Okay, is that working? Yeah. So, okay, thumbs up.
That's good.
Okay, so just redefining real estate service. This is all kind of the things we do, and really when you're talking with an agent, or whenever you're going to market a property, absolutely the devil's in the details, right? You want to make sure the place has been ready for market and all that other stuff. Okay, this is a little bit about Jennifer and I. And all that stuff, and evidence of success and things like that, right? But this is what Tom really wanted me to start talking about tonight, right? And I know you guys are all experienced investors, right? And basically what we're really looking at is, how we're going to expose the property to the market to really meet what the particular seller's goals are. keep in mind, I never try and just guess or assume at what a particular seller's goals are. You know, lots of people just say, well, isn't it always to get the highest price? It isn't always to get the highest price. Sometimes it's the fastest sale. It depends on really what they're trying to actually do and kind of where their basis was in the property, right? So keep in mind as well too that, you know, really market value, I'm sure everybody realizes, is, you know, the definition is what a seller and a buyer can come to terms on at a particular moment in time. That particular moment in time is critical, right? If we decide on a property today what it's worth, and then, you know, 2 months down the road, all of a sudden we find out that there's toxic waste under the property, or we're sitting on oil or something like that, obviously the value is going to change. But that particular moment in time is critical. The other thing that's critical though, when we come to exposure, is basically how you're going to price the property. And if you think about this price derivative here, you know, this is basically what you're looking at as far as a market value. And obviously, as the price goes up from here, you're going to be attracting less people, right? Less people are going to be interested. Obviously, as you slide down, more people are going to be interested. Pretty simple concept, right? But when you think about it, most people only know the first method, right? And I'll just tell you the three strategies for pricing a home is, you know, room for negotiation, market value, and then some type of aggressive model, okay? So all of these three strategies are just that. They're different strategies, and they have different pros and cons. None of them are right or wrong. There's not a right or wrong way per se. It really depends on what you're actually trying to accomplish, right? So the first one is room for negotiation, right? That's what most sellers kind of realize in their mind, right? If you come to them and say, you know, just real quickly about comps, when a realtor's comping a property, you know, kind of falling in line with what an appraiser would do. What we typically do is we look at the subject property, we look at the house that's going to be sold, we look at that square footage, we take usually about a 15% variance in that square footage. We control for the zip code, we control for the type of property. We usually go out in a half a mile radius, maybe a mile radius. We may also look at the entire zip code for just comparison types. We don't necessarily restrict for number of bedrooms, depending on the amount of data that we're actually going to get. But from there, we're going to boil down to kind of what these comps are going to be in the last 6 months, because usually that's as far back as an appraiser is going to go if you're going to sell this home on the open market and you're anticipating that you're probably going to have some financed buyers stepping in, right? So we want to kind of, you know, that's what kind of sets the stage for someone like me to come to a seller and say, look, I think your property is worth between, you know, X and Y, and this is how I derive that. And from there, we basically want to have this type of pricing strategy conversation, depending on what their goals actually are, right? So most sellers only know of the very first one, the room for negotiation, right? So they say, well, my property is worth $500,000, so I want to price it at $550,000, right? Because I don't want to leave any money on the table, right? And I'm sure there's other realtors on this call, and they've probably heard that plenty of times from their clients. They don't necessarily want to leave any money on the table, right? So that's one strategy to go about it. There are pros and cons to that. The pros are, you may find that needle in the haystack buyer that comes in and says, $550,000, oh, I love this place, this is fantastic, I'll take it, right? Odds are that's probably not going to happen, especially in this day and age with just the sheer amount of data that buyers actually have at their disposal, right? Just through the internet, through online pricing models, through their own agent that they're working at. The comps don't really change. Everybody can look and see what those comps are to get a decent idea, right? But what we're talking about here is also how this relates to the days on market. So the cons for this particular first strategy are, it may take longer to sell, right? You may have to wait around for that needle in the haystack buyer who's going to pay you more than the market thinks the property is actually worth, right? So typically what happens is the days on market grow, and you may even have some interested buyers out there who like the property. They think the price is too high. They maybe want a shot at the property, but they don't want to rush in and kind of come in with a lower price. They don't want to offend the seller. So what they're going to do is they're going to kind of wait out the seller, right? They're going to kind of sit on their hands and see where it goes. They're going to track the property. And from an agent standpoint, that's pretty much what we don't want, right? If you want to try and get the best possible price for your home or for any home, basically, the best way to do that is to have more than one person competing for that home at the same time, right? If you have a room for negotiation type of strategy and the price is too high, what happens is typically buyers may approach you kind of one at a time if they're interested in the property, and then the seller doesn't have as much leverage if they're going to have to deal with buyers kind of one at a time. So that's really kind of what you have to be careful for if you're going to overprice the property, right? The next one is basically market value. This is a lot easier in like a condo type of product or in some type of master plan community where you have a lot of the same models, you know, something that was built in the 80s, 90s or later. It's more difficult to do in a neighborhood that was built in the 50s or 60s where homes aren't all quite the same. They were kind of almost built to spec as they were put together. But when you're in a newer type of subdivision, or again in a condo where you do have some direct model matches, you know, someone can say, I have a Lexington Plan 2 and the last 3 Lexington Plan 2s in the past 6 to 8 months have sold for this. And then you can basically kind of control for, you know, what the parameters are in the particular property as far as improvements. If there was a pool versus no pool, granite, new roof, things like that, you can shake that up, right? Using this type of market value, using those basically direct model match comps, typically in our market, you're probably going to sell the property, you know, in a number of weeks. And normally when we look at the comps and we're looking for things like median price per square foot and some other things, we're also paying close attention to the median days on market. Keep in mind, I say median, we always want to look at the true middle. We don't want to use any averages because that takes in these outliers and can kind of skew the numbers. But using a market value type of you know, strategy, you should probably be able to sell that home within the median days on market in that particular area. Okay, the pros are it's pretty easy to price the property, especially from what's going on. You're just really dealing with the improvements in there, right? The cons are maybe, you know, you might not get as many people interested in the property. It'll just depend on what's going on. The last model though, that I always, you know, at least expose to my clients is an aggressive type of model. And what that really means is if we know that that price, you know, that home was worth $500,000 or whatever, we're going to deliberately price the property a little bit lower, a couple of percent lower, maybe 2 or 3% lower, right? And what we use, especially in the marketing, is the term that basically it's priced to create a sense of urgency, right? And what that does is if there are 2 people that are interested in this particular area, it's going to get them out of the woodwork a little bit quicker. We're going to probably get some offers a little bit quicker, or at least get the interested people reaching out because they think that there's an opportunity for that to get some kind of a good deal. Keep in mind, for an agent like me, you know, you really want to, all I really need is more than one offer, right? And now I'm in a multiple offer situation, which drastically ratchets up the leverage in the seller's favor, okay? So when you're using this model, just keep in mind, like, people always ask me, well, what if we price it too low, right? I don't want to price the property too low. Keep in mind, from an ethics standpoint, I don't want to price something that's incredibly just, I'm not saying go out and price a $500,000 property for $400,000 and then try and ratchet people up another $100,000. That's not the most ethical thing to do. And as realtors, we don't really want to put a property on the market on a price that the seller really wouldn't be willing to entertain per se, okay? But what the aggressive model does is, again, putting the driver in or putting the seller in the driver's seat with basically having whoever is interested, having them come to the table sooner rather than later, so you can engage them all at the actual same time, okay? People ask me all the time, you know, I typically let my clients, I educate them on these 3 models, and then I let them pick, right? It's their asset. It's their life, it's their money, right? I don't dictate the price. I remind them again that the market really is going to dictate the price, not me and not the seller. And then we work through kind of what their needs are and what strategy would be best for them. I've gotten this over the years where people always ask me, you know, well, what does everybody else do? What do the rest of your clients do? We aggressively track this through over the years, and basically it's pretty evenly split, a third between all 3 models with what people are really comfortable for, right? And what I typically do is I'll give them a range of pricing for each one of these strategies and I let them choose that. And then what I typically do is I'll pick the next strategy and help them work through that, saying, okay, if this particular strategy, you know, if someone wants room for negotiation and they deliberately want to overprice the home, I'm going to run through, you know, what the days are on market with them and then set a date where we're going to actually shift to a different type of strategy, okay? So that's essentially it in a nutshell. I think a lot of times though, when I talk to people, they don't realize that they have some other options, right? They think that if they put a particular list price on a property and someone comes in with a full price offer, that they're obligated to accept that offer. They are not accepted, or they are not obligated to accept that offer, and they're basically able to engage the market any way they really see fit. It's their particular house. So I think in just exposing people to what these, what their options actually are really is pretty powerful. So I don't know if we were going to do questions or anything like that, Tom. Is that something that we were going to? I don't know how much time we have, and I know the real program's coming up. So.
Oh, you're part of the real program.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
If you have it, if anyone has any questions specifically, just kind of like raise your hand in the chat. We'll happily unmute you.
No questions. I'm off. I'm done. Awesome. Hey, I do want to let you folks know too, I do a monthly market update. I do a full housing update on the entire nation. I usually try and keep it about 10 minutes. And then I also do a specific San Diego and Sarasota market update. You can follow us right up here at the Iannitti group if you want to go and find those. And of course, I'll put my information in the chat as well too. If anyone does have a question later or anything like that, I'm more than happy to answer any questions that someone has.
Cool, good stuff. Thanks, Nick.
All right, thank you guys.
In good shape. All right. So market update. Let's get some success spotlights going. I think I'm going to start. Let's see. I'll show you who we got coming up on the up here. And there we go. I think for ease, I'm going to start at the left and work my way across to the right. So that would put Valerie Lucas first. So Valerie, let's see. If you could unmute and say hello.
Hi. Sorry,
Hi
my
there.
camera isn't working.
I hear you. So that's pretty good. Hang on. I don't get to see it yet. There. Where are you? Carolina, can you grab her and oh, is that what it is? All right, fine. So hang on a second. Well, I can't see you yet. Let me find it. Go to the chat and type Valerie. Not chat. Hang on a second, guys. Let me get this participants. There we go. That's easier. 1 second. There you are. You are now a co-host. That means I can spotlight you as well, which is cool. I can't spotlight you from that screen. I don't know. Valerie, I can't find you. Do you have your video on?
No, my camera isn't working.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, let's see here. See if that'll force it on. Cool. If not, we'll talk to you. We'll talk you through it anyway. Just people won't be able to see you. They won't be able to see your beautiful faces. We talk. Oh, look at that! It changed up. It's fired up.
Yeah, it did. Hi.
Magic. All right. Technical difficulty. I can't claim they've done anything to solve it. I click a few buttons and just fingers crossed. Seems to be good. How you doing?
Good. Hi, everyone.
Hi there. So, you're in the spotlight. So I'm going to have you introduce yourself, tell people who you are, where you're from, what kind of investing you've been doing.
Hi, I'm Valerie. I'm from Arlington, Virginia, which is in the DMV area, which is DC, Maryland, and Virginia. What else did you say, Tom? I'm sorry.
Oh, what kind of investor are you?
Real estate.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yes.
Otherwise, you jumped on the wrong Zoom.
So basically, I'm involved with buy and holds primarily, assisted living, furnished rentals, and I've done some flips. and I'm looking to build out my wholesale business.
Which one's your favorite? That's a lot of different specialties.
Oh gosh, I think real estate as a whole.
Ah, it's like children, you can't quite pick a favorite.
Can't quite, yeah, can't quite.
Well, let's talk about a few of those.
Holds are definitely one of my favorites.
Holds are your favorites. Why?
Mhm. For the appreciation,
Mhm.
equity.
Yeah, I could add something over time. And you mentioned you do some specialty holds. So,
Yes, I'm doing furnished rentals of 30 days or more. Most persons are familiar with Airbnb, which is one of the outlets of furnished rentals. And I'm also doing assisted living and then the buy and holds.
okay. So there's a lot to unpack there. Let's start with the furnished rentals. How many furnished rentals do you have?
About 8.
Awesome. And I think a lot of people wonder how easy are they to rent, or how often are they vacant?
Well, luckily, I have not had a lot of vacancies. Some of the rules have changed in different states in terms of furnished rentals, in terms of the amount of days. So I do 30 days or more, 28 days or more. And since I started in actually January of 2020, I've not had a lot of vacancies.
Okay. And that's what do you attribute that to? I mean, look, because low vacancy is every landlord's dream, not have an issue, but is there, what's the secret sauce that's keeping them full?
My mentor, Al Williams, he helps to give me suggestions on how to stay full, but basically marketing and getting involved with or signed up with the different outlets. You have Airbnb, you have VB, vacation rental by owner, you have Zillow, you have oh gosh, it's escaping me now, but Craigslist. It's a lot of outlets for furnished rentals. And basically I got involved with them after I had attended Al Williams meeting there through Traction. And he taught us how to do the furnished rentals. And basically what attracted me was the return. It's much better than long-term rentals, in which I was doing previously.
How much better?
Like double.
Okay. I like double.
Like double better.
Double better. All right,
Sometimes
all right.
triple better. Depending on what state you're in, if you can do short terms in between your 30-day stays, and if you can pick up some short terms, it's really profitable. It really is.
Nice. So when you said the rules are changing on some of them, and so being at 28, 30 days, if you make that a minimum, you get around most of the rules that are trying to restrict those types of things.
Correct.
So
Yes.
that's my understanding.
Yes. Yes, it is. That's correct.
Now, how do you find that? I know, you said if you get somebody shorter, then, you're getting more money, but you're also kind of wearing out your property more. So what's the sweet spot for you? Are you happy with the 30-day turn, or would you rather have a 3-day turn?
Oh, I would rather have a 30-day turn.
Why?
In terms of housekeeping, you don't have to have housekeeping. In terms of logistics, in terms of planning, you have a lot of turnover with the shorter term. I mean, and I'm not trying to knock short term. If that's your thing, then do your thing. But for me, I'm not really interested in short term because of the type of traveler, for one. My experience has been that the short terms are looking more for a hotel versus the long term, the midterm, who are professionals, mostly nurses, persons looking to move or relocate to the area in which you're operating. And yeah, that's about and to me, it's just a different type of traveler. They're looking for different things. They're not quite as choicey as the 30-day or more. They're professionals coming to the area to work, so they just really don't want to stay in a hotel. They want their own privacy. They want to be able to cook. They want to have parking, and they want a furnished rental, and they want to bring their pets.
Okay, so you're pet friendly.
Yes.
Okay.
For
And-
most rentals, yes.
And you get people who are, it sounds like professional and calm and looking for a home away from home, not a place to tear up in a big party.
Correct. Yes, yes. I have interns too, but I primarily try to stay with the graduate level interns. Because they're a little older and they're a little bit more into their profession and what they're in the area for.
I find it interesting that with, people, enough people complain or neighbors complain. So we want all these jurisdictions start passing laws to restrict Airbnb, but they're restricting it on the short-term side, the weekenders, that kind of thing. The people that are, like you're saying, are looking more for a hotel room anyway. But when you hit these medium term, you're not violating the laws. You're staying really compliant with it, and at the same time, it sounds like the quality of your rental and the quality of your tenant goes up.
Yes, it does substantially.
Cool. Yeah, very nice. What how'd you get the money to start in your furnished rental business?
Actually, I had most of the money, and it doesn't really require a lot of upfront cash. Of course, you have to furnish the rental. I'm not sure, it's different ways of furnishing your rental. You can go to corporate rental furnished companies where you can rent your furniture. You can get a furniture package and they'll give you a monthly fee for it, or you can just furnish it yourself. When I first started off, I had a lot of furniture downsizing. So I primarily use going out and shopping yourself and ordering furniture off of Amazon or Target, or in some cases I've spoken to persons and they go to the different donation centers to furnish their properties to keep the cost down, because essentially you want to be able to get to your break even quite fast so that you can start plowing the cash.
Gotcha. And so your upfront overhead of furnishing it, you want to earn that back quickly.
Yeah, as quickly as you can. Yeah, so as quick as you can get to your break even, then of course you'll start seeing your earnings.
Okay. Well,
So
so
keep it steady.
you're putting all your furniture together from various sources, various places. I know they all look. I've seen all your properties because since you market them using a traction website, I've seen all the interior photos that you use to market them to people. They always look great.
Thank you. Yes. And then, as you get up and running, you can replace the furniture. Once you start making money, you can, then you can go in and you can replace it with nicer furnishings if you choose.
But all your stuff looked great. So when you're talking about secondhand stores and used old furniture, I'm thinking that's not what it looks like in the photos. That, or you've got a good eye and you choose it all appropriately.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can get some good deals, and then you can also, if you, depending on the amount of time that you have, you can also purchase used secondhand furniture and restore it.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
a couple of things of paint from Home Depot using a traction membership, and you can keep it nice and clean.
Yeah. So what, we're talking about the rosy side of it all, like, oh, it's nice and it's double, triple the cash flow, but is there a part of the short-term or the medium-term rental business you don't like?
It took a while for me to get comfortable with arbitraging, and arbitraging is where you basically sublease. So you find a landlord who has a property and you secure the property, and then you let them know that you are going to sublease. And for me, because I've been a long-term landlord, it can be a little difficult having that person in the middle
Mhm.
with arbitrage, only because you're just not in full control as I've been used to. But I've gotten used to it, and you can develop relationships with the landlords where you can kind of get done what you need to get done, because in this business, the landlord will have to respond quickly to, of course, if there are any corrections that need to be made in the property, because they are your guests, essentially.
Yes. So with the arbitrage units as well, you've got your guests coming in, you've got the kind of controlling lease, you're subleasing it, and which is one of the reasons why you can get started without a lot of money, because you're putting the furniture in and you're decorating it, but you don't own the property on an arbitrage. Right? I want to make sure that's clear to everyone.
Yes, you do not own the property. That's correct. You was basically subleasing. And I know I negotiate those rents to the landlords, and I also negotiate not putting down a deposit, because of course I sell to them that our interests are better aligned, meaning myself and the landlord, because of course we want to keep the property fresh. And basically, if I were to end the lease with them, they could essentially just rent it the next day, because I'm keeping it fresh for my guests. And when it turns over, it's basically I just move my things out, because I'm keeping the unit refreshed. I'm the one who's doing the paint. We're having someone to keep the unit tip-top shape.
Okay. So in exchange for that, you're telling them don't make me put a deposit down.
Yeah, don't make me put a deposit down. And also sometimes we negotiate the first month rent, because it takes me about 10 days to actually get in there and furnish the place. But when I go out looking, I primarily find the landlords on Craigslist or Zillow. And once I go to the initial showing, then I'm coming in there with my measuring tape, I'm taking pictures, so that in the fact that I am going to move forward, then day one of, when we sign the lease and I have possession, I'm ready to move in. I'm like literally day one bringing in furniture, because I've already taken my measurements and pictures.
Okay, nice. Valerie, I'm hoping somebody's having a light bulb going off going, wait a minute, I don't even have to own a place. I can
Yes, that's the
somebody
great.
and instantly be an Airbnb landlord. And the answer is yes, you can.
Yes, and it's another outlet called Furnish Finders. I've been successful with it. It's not quite as one-stop shop as Airbnb and VRBO, because you basically will Furnish Finder, they will send you the lead, and then you would have to pursue the lead. And in pursuing the lead, I just use my marketing tactics that I've already learned through Traction to locate motivated sellers.
Gotcha. So it's all coming together.
Yeah, it's all coming together.
Very nice. Now tell me about the other type of rentals you're doing. You said you're doing assisted living.
Yes, I do assisted living, which is for elderly care, and same type of situation. I purchased the property and I essentially rent the rooms to seniors. And basically I showed them how, well, most of them need assistance with their activities of daily living. But in marketing to them, I show them how. I have a chart where I show them, if they are homeowners, I show them how they can move in our facility and save money, and also have basically a one-stop, because we in assisted living, we administer their medications. We have a staff on hand that does their housekeeping, that does their laundry. And so they just basically, it's a lifestyle. It's carefree.
You're selling them on the benefit to them of getting out of their own house and moving into your facility so they can have a better lifestyle, carefree lifestyle, everything taken care of for them. It's kind of more safe and secure as well, particularly as you get older. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's part of your, I guess, the negotiation makes it sound not bad. It's like but you're selling them on it in a good way because you're selling them the benefits to them.
Yeah, yes. And so basically they are, a lot of persons are not mobile anymore, and some of them live alone. And a lot of them, their family may live out of the area, or they may live in the area, but they have their own family and just don't really have the time to care for their loved one as they would like to. So that's where we come in. And we have a 24-hour, 7 days a week staff. And we have visiting nurse practitioners, we have visiting doctors. Essentially, they don't even have to leave the facility for any of their care needs.
Now, that's a lot of moving parts, a lot of different people, a lot of different staff. What's it like to manage that?
Actually, I purchased 2 existing facilities, so I inherited the staff, a lot of the staff, but the staff are trained in terms of they have their own trainings, they pursue their own certificates, and they're on site to care for the resident. And, you know, I never really wanted to manage staff, but quite honestly, it has been okay. It's much better than I thought.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Not bad at all. How'd you learn how to do all this?
Through Gene, through Traction. You all brought Gene in and he presented, and I was hooked. I just got sold on housing, as opposed to having 5 different houses with 5 different tenants. I have all 5 of my tenants under one roof, paying the practically the same amount of rent that they would be if they were, or even for their mortgage. Uh-oh.
Oh, sorry, that's it. I'm muted. That's all right. No, I'm unmuted, right? What was I thinking of? Sorry, that threw me off when I do that. Now so Gene got you going. You started in on that. Is it? I think a lot of people think it's a lot of irons in the fire. Is it? What's your average day like? I mean, you running around with staff on one and tenants on the other, and posting Airbnb all the time, or what's the lifestyle like for Valerie Lucas?
Basically, I'm just managing. I'm just basically taking phone calls and sending emails and sending text messages and just managing, problem solving when they call me. I have a manager who actually manages the facility, so I'm like the last person to call if something's wrong at the facility.
If the phone call makes it to you, something's really wrong.
Something's really wrong, and if it makes it to me, then the decision I made is the decision.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Now, how long have you been a Traction member?
Oh my gosh, I know when you were saying about the 15 years, Lord, because I was actually a part of Traction when you were a member. I remember seeing you walking around there. I think we were at the Ramada Inn, and you were walking around with your clipboard. So you just said 15 years, so maybe it must be 15, maybe
Around that amount of
16.
time.
Yeah.
So why have you been a member for so long? What do you get out of it?
Oh gosh, I was in so, different phases of my life when I first joined. And but when I did join, to me, it was a place for networking, to speak with persons of like minds who all had the same goal of becoming real estate investors. And the resources, the knowledge, education, all of that comes along with the membership has really what has propelled me. Because I remember, actually, I think I remember when I was deciding if I was even going to sign up for Gene, and Carolina was in the back of the room, and I was like, "You think this is something I should take on? I already have all this," and she was just like, "It's an additional revenue stream," and I was sold. I was like, "Okay, give me the clipboard, let's sign."
And it worked out well?
Let's do it. And it's been great. Yeah, it worked out very well. It was it was what she said, an additional income stream.
There we go. You said you have you have 2 facilities?
Yes, actually, I purchased the 2 facilities. They're across the street from one another, from an existing owner who had at the time 4 facilities. And I wish I was able to purchase the 4, but at that time she told me she was only selling the 2. But then in the process of the acquiring those 2, she did put the other 2 up for sale. But at any rate, I found her by just visiting the state of Maryland website that lists all of the licensed providers in Maryland. And I just, again, used the marketing strategies I learned there in Traction. I just built the list from it and I started marketing to that list and the phone started ringing. And then I just had my choices of facilities that what did I want to purchase?
The marketing is marketing, negotiation is negotiation. Now, I know
Yeah.
you're a member of my coaching program too, in the Total Traction program. And you've kind of used that as the bridge to stay focused and unlock what you're doing in the other programs with Al and then Gene. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, even with when I was marketing to the landlords, I just put together another list. I have an older system of yours from the cash generator, which has all of the different letter types and all of that. And I just went in and just used a couple different of the letter templates and just kind of meshed them all together. This was before we had the AGI now, and I think that's I think it's AG. But that was before then. So I was writing my own scripts and I just went in there and put together a letter and I emailed it to the various landlords, and it was marketing again, and they started calling and was interested in me more. And, that's when I contacted you all and I got my website up. And so that way I had somewhere to send them. I'd learned the Google Drives through you all again. So just everything has just been a resource for me, and it just kind of shortened the learning curve.
Awesome. You're that perfect student in a way, because you set your mind to something, you do it. And well, geez, should I do it, Gene? Well, it makes sense. And yes, if you're going to do it, it'll make sense and it'll be great for you. So, like everything you take, and a lot of people go, oh, it didn't work for me. Like, well, how much did you do? Did you try? Did you stick at it? Because it's not, it's not always just, it doesn't magically pop out of the box and start, buying houses. You got to put the effort that you're putting into it in. But you also showing how it's simple and straightforward. Oh, hang on, you froze for a second. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, it's kind of breaking up. I don't know what's going on.
I didn't hear the last thing you said.
I'm not sure. You said
It's
and I don't know where we broke up. Yeah.
Gotcha. Let me get through. I got some questions in the chat, so let me get through some of these here. So, where are your rentals? Are they
In the DMV area in DC, Virginia, and Maryland.
Okay, so you're functioning across 3 states. Cool. Of those, is there one that you're having more success or a higher return in?
In terms of the furnished rentals, I do have like 2 units that's in an older building that aren't that initially were doing a better return. So now I'm having to consider either speaking with the landlord to do some updates, but overall, they all have just about been doing the same. I mean, I don't want to give anybody the wrong impression as if it's just that easy. I mean, you do have to do some work. You do have to put in some time. And when I say time, though, I mean, literally, like, I'm waking up in the morning to either congratulations, you have a booking through Airbnb, or you have, I'm just basically responding. And so from the time I got started to now, I'm now trying to, because everything kind of came together at once. So I kind of had my foot on the gas for a while. So I'm kind of like taking my foot off the gas a little bit so I can kind of reorganize and just scale the business and systematize a lot of things that I'm currently doing so they can free up some more of my time. I'm working with the VAs more. I'm training them to respond to those inquiries that I'm waking up to, just so I can free up my time and I can kind of stay free to, because I find that I'm best at thinking of moving the organization forward. So I can't bog myself down with all of this day to day. So that's where I am now, just kind of outsourcing the day to day so that I can just remain the mastermind and moving the companies forward.
I like it. Chase is asking, how soon did you start breaking even with Airbnb in DC?
Oh, day one.
Day one.
Day
you were
one.
even?
Well, basically, because like I had said that for my first two rentals, I had primarily furnished with, I had downsized and I left a home of 5 bedrooms and I came to a 1 level with 3 bedrooms. I had a lot of furniture and I just wasn't up for, I wanted to make some money off the furniture, but I just wasn't up to Craigslist and Facebook and meeting people to sell the things. So once I met Al, and I literally was sitting in the class in Tyson's and my light bulb went off. I was like, all that stuff I have, oh yeah, I'm doing furnished rentals. And so with doing that, and I did a lot of sweat equity too in those furnished rentals, because like I said, my first couple, they were in older buildings. So I had a lot, you know, I'm a landlord, so I had a lot of paint laying around. So I just got in there and got some of my handymen to come in and basically painted the unit, and the monies that I spent to improve the unit to get it ready for furnished rentals, I mean, I literally made that back like within maybe the first 2 bookings.
That's beautiful. That just works out so good.
It really did. I mean, like, yeah, and yeah, it really did. Cause I think my first, and then I also negotiated the cost of the rents. So of course I negotiated it down so that I could, you know, set my nice nightly pricing that I would just be making money from, you know, the first book.
No, it's a beautiful setup. Do you have a manager for your furnished rentals also?
I don't, but I think once and towards maybe the fall, I'm gonna start looking to add a couple additional furnished rentals. And then at that point, I think I'm gonna bring in someone just, you know, like as the main point person. And then I could serve as the backup just to free up some of my time. And I'm looking for new housekeepers because the ones I've had now, just, you know, at that time they were great for that. Now it's a different type of housekeeper.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Some with more of a team.
Okay. Now you said you had five in your assisted living facilities. You had 5 rooms in each one, so you have 10 total?
6 in one and 5 in the other, 11.
11, cool. And what's your website, Valerie? You want to share that?
For assisted living?
Yes.
It's Abundance. Oh, you want me to put it in the chat?
Sure. That's easy.
Okay, well, it's abundance-care.com.
Abundance-care.com.
And abundance, I'm sorry, abundance is spelled ABUNDANCE.
Gotcha. And what's your website for the furnished rentals?
It's turnkey corporatehousing.com.
Turnkey.
I had to grab my glasses.
Yeah,
I'll put both of them in the chat. I have to grab my glasses so I can put them in the chat for you.
Cool. And while you're doing that, I'll ask you some more questions that have popped up. What What is Google Drive meant for your business? You mentioned
Oh,
it.
a lot. Google Drive, yeah, and Google Sites, and primarily with my VAs, I'm essentially able to share. We can share the file in Google Drives, and so I give them a list to call of motivated sellers, and they can then we can share the spreadsheet in the Google. I also have Google Sites, and that's what I reach out to when I have persons inquiring about the furnished rentals. I just send them my Google site, and it basically has pictures of the rental, it has a description, it has things in the area to do, has the cost, it has a walkthrough video.
Nice. Now you're getting some compliments in here too, Valerie. Claude's telling you you're clearly smarter than the rest of us. And Diane's flat out calling you
Oh,
incredible.
no.
You're doing great. It's good.
All my success attraction, I will tell you. I mean, I was, as Robert Kiyosaki says, I was dabbling in real estate. And then when I got involved with Traction, I really took off.
I'm happy to get you to tie it all together. And
So Valerie, you say that people should join, the ones that are not members of Traction, they should, and they take advantage of the special deal.
Yeah, they should. I'm telling you, because I remember the day I signed up, and I remember the day I signed up for the boot camp, and I was like, I had just gotten out of debt. I had just paid off my credit cards and all of that. And then it was like, oh my God, do I get this boot camp? And then on the break, I called a couple of my friends, and you came doing the opposite. I came right back in that room and gave you all my credit card. And ever since then, it's been nice. But I don't want to make, people feel like it's really that easy, but you do have to put in the time. But if you are consistent, and if you identify a budget, and I mean, it could be a small budget to start with, because I remember when I was struggling to buy $100 in postage, and I just literally went on like PS Prints or I forget the other website, and I literally just took your template, changed my name, and changed the name on the template and had it printed. I mean, I even have some door hangers. I think maybe I can grab one real quick. I mean, the template was right there in the system. I just uploaded it. At that time it was a disc. So I just changed it on the disc and sent it out.
Yep.
Yes, so I'm doing some renovations here in my house.
Like you said, well, you just
really a lot going on, but
you
yeah, my door hanger.
The door hanger from my kit.
The same door hanger out of the kit. I mean, it's the exact same one. I mean, everything. I just changed my name, put my phone number, sent it to PS Prints, picked it up from the post office.
Well, they call it a template. Awesome. All right.
Yep.
Thank you, Valerie.
Super proud, super happy, super excited.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Even Claude sends me he sends me listings from the MLS system, or whatever it's called now, MRIS, MLS. He sends me, I reach out to him, he sends me things, and I send it to the VA, and we get moving.
Love it. Good stuff, Valerie.
Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you, y'all.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to swing this spotlight over to Charlie Einsmann. Charlie, how are you?
How is everybody tonight? Thanks for having me.
Doing good. Hang on, so I'm trying to find you so I can spotlight you. There you are.
Probably towards the end.
No. It moves around.
I got here a little late.
Yeah, awesome. So, how's it going, young man?
We're doing really well. Thank you. How's everybody?
Awesome. So, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do in real estate investing.
Okay, so we have a four-pronged business model. So we're a hard money lender. We're a private lender. That's phase one of our business. We buy tax lien certificates, DC, PG County, Maryland, and Montgomery County, Maryland. So we're a tax lien certificate investor. We fix and flip houses. We still do that to this day. And we also have a pretty good sized rental portfolio. We have residential rentals and we have commercial rentals as well. And so we basically got started with zero, and we morphed into all these different businesses. And if I would have told you that I was going to be a hard money lender one day, I would have been lying, because when I first started in this business, there was no such thing as hard money or private lending. There wasn't even anything called wholesaling. Any distressed asset that you bought, you basically fixed and flipped it. There was no such thing as signing contracts. So we've been doing this on the fix and flip side since 2003. We've been in business on the hard money side since 2012.
Nice.
So we have quite a track record, quite a lot of experience.
That's a lot of different aspects of real estate investing. What's your favorite?
Actually, my favorite is obviously I like hard money lending. That's fun, but I spend all my time evaluating deals, and it's very challenging these days because the deals lately have been very, very tight. The profit margins are compressed lately because there's not enough inventory for the investors, and it's challenging. But my favorite is actually one of the commercial properties that we own is a 3-acre industrial lot by Manassas Airport, and we actually have it rented out as a truck yard. So we basically store semi-tractor trailers. And so that's kind of my favorite. But I like everything. I enjoy this business. When people ask me what I do, I basically tell them, especially if somebody doesn't know anything about real estate investing. There you go. But basically what I tell people what I do for a living is I tell them I basically play Monopoly for a living. We collect houses, we collect loans, we collect tax lien certificates, and that's sort of what we do. We build and manage assets.
Take those green houses, turn them into red buildings, or in the case of your truck yard, I guess those aren't housed, are they? It's
No.
literally a plot of land that you park trucks on.
Yeah, and so that's a different business model. So we have 75 spaces, and we rent it out for $350 a space. And so we manage that we have online software that we use to manage that. And same thing with our rentals. We manage our rentals through online portal called Propertyware. And then on the hard money side, we manage that via something called the mortgage office. So like Valerie was saying earlier, most of my business is processes. We've systematized everything. Our tenants on our rental side pay their rents online. We have 50 rentals, 49 of them are paid online. On the hard money side, we've got probably 90 loans now, and 85% of our borrowers pay their monthly interest payment online as well. So we've got a lot of our businesses automated so that it makes it easier for me to expand.
Now, it wasn't always that way, was it? At what point did you start to systematize so you were able to expand?
Well, that's a good question, because when we first started out, we were just buying pre-foreclosures to fix and flip. And so we didn't even have any bank lines at that time. We were using our HELOCs to sort of afford those properties. Luckily, when you buy primary residences and when the equity goes up, you get a home equity line of credit, a checkbook, and Sam did the same thing. He had a checkbook. And so our first fix and flip back in 2004, we basically used that to actually purchase it. And then we had a contractor come in there and do the work. And he basically did it with us promising him that we would pay back his GC expenses on the HUD one when we sold the house. So that was pretty good. And so we basically built up our business by doing, one distressed asset flip at a time. And then we finally got the capital stack to move into other avenues. And so probably about 7 or 8 years into the business, when we owned about 12 or 14 rentals, that's when we started to process that business and systematize it.
It reminds me of, was it one of the Rocky Balboa movies? I think it's that, one step, one punch, one step, one punch. A lot of people don't, they think it's going to magically start raining, or you put the work in, you do the one deal, you work on the next deal, you work on the next deal, you work on the next deal, then you start to build up you're at a point where now systemization makes sense. Now you can get into other things. There's nothing wrong with putting them in an order, like to create a custom pathway for yourself.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And one of the things that I tell new investors is that when you're a new investor, you've got to focus on two things. Number one is the education side, right? So you got to constantly educate yourself. Then number two, you've got to be out there finding assets. You need to spend all of your time finding assets and getting educated. And so then once you have a couple of deals in your pipeline, like Tom was saying, you then focus on working on the deals that you have, but at the same time, you got to keep marketing and finding assets. And then the more and more deals that you have in your pipeline, obviously your focus is going to be on working on those deals, whether it's a wholesale deal or fix and flip, or it's a buy and hold in your rental portfolio. And for us, we don't do VROs, we don't do Airbnbs. All of my rentals are long-term in nature. And the reason why we did that is because, well, again, when I started purchasing rentals a while ago, Airbnb didn't exist, VRBO didn't exist. But for us, the short-term rentals, it's a better cash flow, but it's a lot, you've got to pay a lot more attention to your properties. So like for us, if I can buy a house as a rental, sock it away, I put a tenant in there for a year, I don't have to worry about it for a long time, and I can build and expand. And for us, when our tenants have problems, they actually log in their problems on our website, and a work order is created, and our maintenance guys show up the next day. And so by doing that, we have a really good relationship with all of our tenants. And guess what? They stay in our houses. So I've got houses where tenants have actually raised kids there, and their kids have graduated from high school, and they love us. And so back in the day, if they were paying their rents on time, we would never even raise the rents. But because of the economy and because of asset appreciation and expenses on insurance and our property taxes going up, we did have to raise rents on these guys just to even break even on our cash flow from the rent, from the tax increase, from the insurance increase. We just, we really haven't raised our rents that much. We have caught up lately on market rents, but that's only when we've had a tenant move out. But if they're on time and they're current, we don't really raise rents that much.
Gotcha. So they get a benefit out of that.
Yeah.
So what's the most frustrating thing you found in the business? Any aspect of it?
It's the 3 T's, right? Tenant, toilet, and trash. At the very beginning, we had a lot of Section 8 properties. So if you guys don't know what Section 8 is, it's the government housing vouchers. And we had a lot of those properties, and we actually love the Section 8 program. But over time, what has happened is that Section 8 is HUD pretty much has the money, and it sort of propagates down to the jurisdictions. And what's happened is that funding has dried up within HUD for Section 8 voucher program. And so what's happened is that if the tenant's not a 100% voucher holder, they're going to pay a portion of their rent. So let's say, for example, if the rent's $2,000, they might get $1,700 Section 8, but then they have to pay their $300. And so sometimes for us, it's kind of challenging to collect that $300. And so that gets to be a pain every now and then. But remember, though, a lot of our tenants have been with us for a very long time, 12, 14 years. And, for us, we got to collect the rents, the $300. And sometimes it's a little bit of a hassle. So it's kind of annoying, but it's okay.
Okay. Now, I had started off at the very beginning of the meeting talking about how you might focus on one thing right now, and then your life changes a bit, or your interest changes, or the business grows, or you have different plans, your kids, your whole family changes. You've got a lot of different types of real estate investing going. So what's caused those? Is it been opportunity? Well, what's caused your change in path? Is it either the opportunity? Is it you personally? Is it walk us through how an investor should think through that? I'm kind of trying to draw out your own story and then let people figure out how it relates to them.
It's also too what Valerie talked about earlier, though. It's also the shifting markets, right? So when we started collecting rentals back in 2005, 6, and 7, the 08-09 crisis hadn't happened yet. And so we had 8 rentals that we had at the time, and we had bought them at 75% of the ARV at the time. And so we bought them really well. And we got a 50% loan on that 75%. So our properties, we only had a 50% of it loan. The rest of it was equity. Well, what happened is the crash hurt us so bad in 08, 09 that the values of our properties went underneath. Some of the values got divided by two, especially some of the single families in Dale City. They went from $400,000 to $100,000. They dropped. And so what happened is the leverage on our properties, we became overextended in the bank size because we had community loans from community banks. And so they did what was called a capital call on us. So we had to ship them a bunch of money to further equitize our properties because they had dropped so fast. And so basically over time, what has happened, the market shifted, it went down, and then we got an incredible appreciation growth on our same rentals. And so remember, I had to pay down that debt in cash to get them correctly capitalized to the bank. And because what happened was the market appreciated, we had a lot of equity in our properties. We were still acquiring properties, but over time, we ended up getting into the hard money space because one of my courthouse competitors got us into that space. So basically what we've done is we've created a bunch of different residual income streams within our business model so that no matter how the economy changes, we're able to react into the changing economy. And so that's sort of how we morphed into it. And the tax lien certificate piece came in about 5 or 6 years ago. And the way that works is that if you don't pay your property taxes, the various government entities like in Montgomery County or PG County or DC, they issue out somebody's property taxes in the form of a tax lien certificate. And so like in Washington, DC, they pay out an 18% return. So now we've morphed our business into 4 different income flowing streams: the rental portfolio, residential, commercial, the hard money, the tax lien certificates, and the fix and flip. So we have a variety of different income streams. And so that's enabled us to continue.
Did you say your competitor got you into one of those businesses?
Yeah, so what happened is we were purchasing our properties, both pre-foreclosures and foreclosures. And so what had happened is when you go to, I don't know if you guys have ever been to your county foreclosure auctions. And so I was a mainstay at our auctions, especially here in Virginia. I'm in Northern Virginia. And so at Prince William County, starting in 2009, even all the way today, I've been attending the courthouse auctions. So what happens is when you attend these courthouse auctions for foreclosures, you end up seeing the same people time and time again, right? And so what happens is you have a lot of downtime in between auctions. So you end up talking about your family, your wife, your situation, just your personal background. And we all get to know each other, not intimately, but we know each other pretty well. We know each other down to the aspect of we know what property types they're buying at the auction. I even know how much they're going to pay for it, and so I know what they like. And so over a period of time, so then what happened was in 2012, the courthouse foreclosure auctions, the profit margin started to compress. And one of my competitors came up to me and he goes, and this is before we're even in the private lending space. He goes to me, "Hey, Charlie," and he knew I was sitting on a little bit of money. He said, "Charlie, I just bought a condo in Fairfax County." We're in Prince William County auction at the time. He goes, "The condo's worth $350. I bought it for $225. He goes, "Will you give me the loan for $225 on that condo?" And so I was sort of shocked. I was taken aback. I was like, okay, well, I guess we're kind of ready to enter into another space. Didn't think it was the private lending hard money space. And I just said to him, I said, "Yeah, I'll do it." But I had no idea what I was doing. So then I got my car. I called my partner. I said, "Sam," I said, "somebody wants a $225,000 loan on a condo that was built in 2006 in Fairfax County that's worth $350,000. I just said yes. I had no idea what I was doing. So then I went back home and I figured out, I better figure out how to do the lending business. And so I figured out what the going rates were and points. I presented him with a 1-page term sheet that defined the loan. He basically signed the term sheet, sent it back. And then I had to scramble and get some loan docs in order and get a title company ready to close it. And that's how we started the hard money business, was because a competitor that I knew on the fix and flip side got us into it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love the backstory on a lot of these things. It's always kind of, it's fascinating. You mentioned your partner, that Charlie had popped on earlier, when we introduced you guys, Clear Sky, as traction sponsors. Have you guys been partners for the whole time? Has it been 20 years?
He's my, as my current wife says, he's my second wife. I probably know my partner better than I know my wife.
Gotcha.
Not like that, though.
Gotcha. Nice.
We've been partners for a long time. And so the one thing about Sam is, and anytime you're taking on a partner, what you have to realize is that the two of you can do a lot more than one of you can. And his back end skills enabled us to grow because he was the guy that processed a lot of our, flips. He processed our rentals. He processed our loan business and systematized it. I did too, but he was the bigger advocate for that. And so he allowed us to exponentially grow. But now the problem is that he's a very honest guy. So I can trust him with money. And so in our case, you have to have a trusted partner. If you don't have a trusted partner, then I suggest not even get one. But in our case, he's very trusted. And we, my assets that I bring to the table is a lot different than him. He presented earlier. I'm a people-oriented person. I'm more of a sales guy, marketing guy. He's kind of a back-end guy. The only reason he showed up tonight was because I told him, I said, look, I got caught up in another meeting. Can you at least do the Clear Sky piece? And that's why you guys saw him. He's sort of the guy behind the curtain.
Pull the curtain back. There was Oz for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Good. No, nothing wrong with that. What about, I think there's a lot of good partner advice in there. But now in your hard money lending businesses, you're working with other investors. You see partnerships that don't work as well as you and Sam?
We do. And one of the partnerships that we absolutely imploded on accident was a couple of one of our borrowers. So I can call them by their first name, but I wouldn't say their last name, Carson and Terry. So Carson and Terry were very good friends, and they were database guys. They worked together for the government, and they were database guys, but they wanted to fix and flip properties in Waldorf, Maryland. And so we gave them a couple of loans, and they had a niche market that they created where they would get 2-level townhouses in Charles County and Waldorf. They were 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. And at the time, they were picking them up for, $80,000 to $100,000, putting in $30,000 of renovation, and they were selling them for $180 to $190 at the time. And so they did this. They did about 6 or 7 successful deals. But then what happened, though, is they came to us, and we're part of the reason for the implosion. They said, hey, we don't want to do 1 or 2 projects at a time. I want to buy 6 houses at once. And I want to do all these fix and flips. And so they went ahead and they bought these houses, and we allowed them to do it because we lend them the money to do it. But what happened is one of the houses was outside their niche market. It was a single family house. And at the time, and I'll tell you the rest of the story in a second, but it was outside their niche market. So what happened is they bought the 6 houses within a month's period of time. And so we lent the money on the 6 projects. But what happened is indirectly, we didn't realize this, but we choked them out. It was too many projects for them to handle at once. And so we were a newer hard money lender at the time. We had no idea that we accidentally choked them out. So what happened is they were successful on the 2 properties, right? 2 out of the 6. They fixed and flipped those successfully. They had the next 2 properties that they were trying to handle. They had contractor problems. They got into arguments with their contractor. They had got arguments with themselves. What we didn't realize is that there was a single family property, which was, I'll call it property number 6, that they had owned. And at this point in time, they had owned it for 3 months. But what we didn't realize is that they hadn't been to that property in 3 months, and that the electricity wasn't even on. And it was during the summer months, and that the basement flooded because the sump pump didn't work. And the basement had about 1.5 feet of water into it, right? Because they hadn't been over to check on their property. And so the basement ended up getting mold. And so what happened is the last 2 properties that they had out of the 6, they couldn't get to them. So they got into a fight. They did. And so their partnership ended, and they had to give those last 2 properties back to us. And so that partnership imploded because they couldn't get on equal ground on what each person's role was, because Terry lived in Waldorf and he was supposed to be managing the projects. Meanwhile, Carson lived in Woodbridge, Virginia, which was about an hour and 15-minute drive to Waldorf, non-traffic, mind you. And so that partnership imploded, and they were really good friends. And to this day, I feel bad about it.
It's lots of partnerships are tough, and sometimes biting off more than you can chew before you're ready for it is tough, particularly if the systems aren't there yet. It's one thing to try to put them in place as you go, but that's it. Tim's asking, what did you do with those imploded properties? You repossessed them?
Yeah, they did. They were nice enough, and they didn't put a second trust on top of us. So remember, I'm a lender on it. So they simply did a deed in lieu of foreclosure on both of them. And we immediately, the one property, we got our crews in there right away, and we did the work, and we ended up putting it on the MLS and selling it and getting back some money and some. But the house that had the mold in it was a different story, because the Charles County got wind of it, that this house had mold in it, and they sent an inspector by there, found out that it had mold, right? And we had to do what's called a mold remediation. By the way, there was a old hazardous container in the front yard that must have been used for an oil, for an oil tank to oil heat the house. That was buried in the front yard. So we had to dig that up. We had to get a soil test and get it approved to the county that said the soil was okay. So that was sort of a nightmare scenario. We finally got out of it. We finally sold it. And I think we were lucky to get a full principal recovery on that deal. We might have lost 5 or 10 grand. I don't remember.
Cut it close. We cut it close.
Yeah.
All right, I've got one more question from the chat, and then our time is up, and I'll be moving that spotlight on. So it's Horace is asking, do you still work with Section 8? You mentioned it earlier. Are you still involved with it?
We still are. Yeah. So at one point in time, 20 of our properties were Section 8 out of the 50. Now, though, because of the cutbacks, we're down to about 10.
Okay.
And so I actually have a good Section 8 story in that one of the properties that I own with my sister outside of Sam, we've had the same Section 8 tenant in there since 2009. She raised a couple kids in there, and she's actually finally graduating out of the Section 8 program, and she's going to be paying full market rent. Matter of fact, starting August 1st.
Nice.
It's pretty good.
Congrats. Yeah, congrats. All.
Yeah.
Charlie, you've been a Traction member and sponsor for a number of years. What's the number one thing you get out of Traction?
Well, what I like at Traction is that you guys bring in an array of speakers, right, on different fronts. And I think a lot of the members have been, they've benefited because of the different kinds of speakers. Because as we know in real estate, it's a diversification game, right? We all want to start out being wholesalers or fix and flippers. We want to build our capital stacks. But at the end of the day, it's about the diversified income streams. And so, the guy speaking on assisted living, that's been very good. Tony Young's on the hidden market is probably one of the best speakers I've ever heard speak, because he teaches you guys how to find assets on the hidden market and how to build your capital stack. And other guys that have come through Traction who have offered their ideas, the guy selling the modular homes, find a piece of land, buy the modular home, put the modular home on the land, rent it out. I mean, that's a great strategy. So that's the one thing I like about Traction is the diversity of the speakers and giving you guys as investors more than one idea, because you guys need a lot of ideas, because just like Valerie was saying, well, this idea about, assisted living, that sort of struck a chord with me. And I felt that I could be successful going down that path. And that's what it's all about, guys, is to your success. And that's what I like.
Cool. Charlie, awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
And let's see, we're going to move the spotlight over to another Valerie. We have all these Valeries. So you got to be named Valerie to be successful here at Traction. So it's good. I have a running joke about my students being named Mike. But if you're female, it's Valerie. So Valerie Sanderlin, how are you?
I'm doing good. How's everybody?
Doing great. Let me
All
find
right.
your video and where'd it go? Oh, man, I'm struggling finding videos today. You found her? Can you hit spotlight? Awesome. Look at that. Much better. Hi. Good to see you.
Hi. Good to see you.
So, same thing. We're going to start with Valerie. Please introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? Where do you operate? And what kind of real estate investing do you do?
Yes, my name is Valerie Sanderlin, born and raised in Washington, D.C. I am a real estate developer, primary in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. Those are my specialty areas that I'm doing real estate in.
Nice. So what's your current hot deal?
Oh, wow. So my current hot deal is I'm working on a hotel boutique up in Hagerstown, Maryland. So, building out a restaurant, a spa there. The project is the best site up there in Hagerstown, made the front page of the newspaper there, have support of the mayor, city council. I have a 10-unit building up on Georgia Avenue that the affordable housing. And so that's, pretty much the latest that I'm doing.
Not bad. A hotel, huh? Is this your first hotel deal?
My first hotel deal, and it's been quite a journey because I met Hilton CEO, Marriott, Wyndham, all the name brands seeking out, wanting me to use the reservation system. So it's been a great ride and just experience, to see the different faces there.
Yeah, so you're developing and building up the hotel, and then you're going to sell it to a brand or partner with one of those brands?
I haven't decided yet. I can actually, be independent, but I haven't decided that part of it yet because it's still early on. So I'm like 90 days out from getting my permit. So I have a whole team on board. So yeah.
Oh, very cool. Now, but how did you get started? What was your first deal? Now, now that you're on hotels, I don't think hotel was your first one. So how did you get moving, Valerie?
Oh my God. So I've been in real estate for 16 years. And so I started off, I did a wholesale deal. And from that deal, bought my first flip, which was in Southeast DC. So after I did the flip, I ended up keeping it as a rental property. So I was a landlord. And from being a landlord, I started doing multiple flips. But also, I would tell everybody, you want to flip, but you also want to buy and hold. That's how you build your wealth. So I would say do both because that was what I was taught. And I did that and became very successful. And then as market changes, I started doing condo conversion. So actually one of my private investor, Al, he's on here. He worked with me hand in hand with 14 units that I did over in Southeast DC. And so I started, buying these, buildings and, and then converting them into condominium. So I was doing that for a minute, and then I started doing Airbnb. So it's like, so I was doing Airbnb, and so now I have a luxury Airbnb that I'm doing as well. And then one other little niche is I house fire insurance people. So people have been displaced, so I actually have that business. And I love it because they pay very well.
So it's basically a short-term, medium-term rental. And then
they pretty much, so it's short-term, but they there for like a year. I mean, I have one here that been displaced almost a year. They still haven't got the permits because everything is backed up now. So which is good for me. And it's been a great joy to be able to help them, found housing because when the house burned down, they was in a hotel and they had like 4 hotel rooms. So that's another niche for anybody that want to get into as well. And then now I'm doing commercial. So that's why I come with the 10 unit in the hotel.
So much here to unpack. Let's see. We'll go somewhat in reverse order. How did you get into displaced persons from fire damage?
So I got into that where one of my rental units, the building beside it had caught fire. And so we ended up with all the subs and everything like that. And one of the requirements that I have for all my, and I call them resident, is that they have to have renter's insurance, right? So if you're a landlord, please make sure they have renter's insurance. And she was fighting me from nail or two, but I'm telling you, Red Cross was there. She was out there hooping and hollering, oh, I'm so thankful my landlord told me to get renter's insurance because they put her up in the Marriott hotel, right? So anyway, so how I got into doing that, one of the consultants there was saying that it was a need, and I couldn't figure out how to get into it, right? I was like, I'm online searching how to get into it. So what happened was with my Airbnb, someone had reached out to me and asked me, will I house someone had been displaced by fire? And so that's when that journey started.
Funny how things you just come up and you take advantage of. Now, you were mentioning, now I've been talking about people's paths tonight. So you mentioned a whole bunch of different paths, particularly shifting and pivoting as the markets change. So talk me through that a bit.
Yeah. So with me, I had to shift, like I said, the new thing with Airbnb, just having multiple streams of income, I think is very important in real estate, as far as with my business, I can say. So you do have to pivot when the market pivot, and then, just thinking outside the box, it is a lot of hard work in real estate. I'm very driven. And then one thing I do want to mention is how I really got started was, and I think I spoke at the REIA with Alan Cowgill, is how to raise private money. I mean, that was my first course because without him, I wouldn't be here today and been so successful. So I just talk about the great speakers that you have, Al Williamson with the Airbnb. I took advantage of that, and that's how I started doing Airbnb through you, so bringing these great speakers in as the market shifts. So, but yeah, I mean, Traction REIA have really helped me throughout, and I'm still connected 16 years, still connected with the real estate clubs.
I think that's great. Now, look, I'm going to be honest. A lot of people go, oh no, a speaker, they're going to sell something. They're going to sell me something. Why would I want to do that? What a waste of time. But meanwhile, wait a minute, you're saying Alan Cowgill who sold you something and now Williamson who sold you something. It's worked out pretty darn good for you.
Absolutely, because you have to invest in your real estate education. I mean, you just have to, but you have to take it serious. So just don't be buying courses just to be buying courses. You have to buy and take action. I don't have no money to waste. So whatever course I'm buying, I'm going to give 110% because I'm going to make this thing work. You have to keep going. I mean, you'll fall down, but get back up. I mean, just keep going. You'll get it. And just, leverage with some of your colleagues, and ask for help if you need help. Myself, I'm at the REIA, some of the other guest speakers there. I mean, definitely reach out to us. I mean, I'm a general licensed contractor. I mean, I wear multiple hats in real estate, and I do consulting work. So I have some people reached out that I'm consulting on their projects in DC because I know the DC market very well. So, so you just have to spend that money, invest in your education. So
yeah. So now Alan Cowgill taught you private money, and how much private money have you raised?
Ooh, okay. So the biggest one that I raised is for the hotel. It's a $20 million project. So I'm like at 1.6 million in. So that has been the biggest raise that I have. And this just putting the word out there, that you, and a guy like Al is on the phone. I mean, he's on the Zoom now. He was one of my private investor, but also he's into real estate. So, he was able to, take the opportunity to say, hey, my money investors, I'm coming out. He came out to the property and things like that through the whole way. So, but yeah, so 1.6 million was the highest. And I'm trying to get the $20 million loan. So.
Gotcha. And a rough total of all the private money you've raised since investing in Alan Cowgill's system?
Oh my God. I would say probably like 20 something million that I have, because doing the condo conversion, that was like 4 to 5 million. So yeah, I would say probably up that, about 20 something.
Not bad on a couple $1,000 investment. That works. No,
not bad at all. I mean, he actually changed my life, and every time I think about it, because I remember sitting in the room and just like, oh my God, I just want to be successful in the real estate. But I love sleep real estate. Like I said, I'm very, very driven at it. You know, so that is my story. And then also, I am one of the Amazon Heat Fellers. I was one of 15 developers that was selected in the DMV to work on affordable housing, and Amazon gifted each one of us a $300,000 grant. And that's how that 10 unit that I had mentioned earlier went towards that. So I'm just very blessed and honored, you know, to be recognized and just to be here to speak to everyone. So, but thank you, y'all both. It's been a blessing.
Totally awesome. What's the most difficult part of the business for you?
The difficult problem in the business is, I would say for me, it's the paperwork, right? Is that because when you have when you have all these projects, I mean, you know, let me just say, so with the paperwork and stuff, you just have to make sure you have a good accountant on board, which was very, very helpful, because she's like, you have to have a good accountant because this is not a hobby, you have a business. So those things like that I had to set up, even making sure my property's in LLCs and things like that, because you want to make sure you shield yourself from anonymity. You know, going to, you know, each project I do, I have to set up a separate bank account. So it's a lot, you know, involved. So I would just say for me, that would be one of the weakness there. And I'm still working to get better at it.
Gotcha. Is it just, it's overwhelming and confusing and a lot of paperwork going in different directions?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why now I'm branding my business and I'm setting up systems on that side, because we always talk about real estate, flipping and all that, but the paperwork side of it all, I think, you know, that was the missing link for me.
Gotcha. So you get somebody that kind of handle the admin side of it.
Yeah, the admin that you can trust side of it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the extra part of it. You know, I think we need to do a course on hiring and firing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's the old saying about, you know, it's hard to find good help.
It is. It really is.
Well, we got to keep a good eye on it too.
Absolutely.
What and you've gotten into Airbnbs as well, or short,
yes.
medium.
Yeah, I have Airbnb. I have a luxury Airbnb that I have. Yeah. So I'm kind of moving from the Airbnb because I'm really focusing on, I mean, I still have them, but I'm moving on the commercial side, because the commercial side is a whole nother animal, right? I mean, when I start looking at some of the development fees on the commercial side, I'm like, I'm doing all this work, like, oh my God, you know, I could get paid, you know, while I'm developing this project. So, I mean, versus me doing one single family houses, I mean, it's the same technique, you know, setup, acquisition, you know, construction, you know, so I'm like, hey, so I'm more so moving towards, you know, the commercial side and doing consulting work.
Okay, awesome. And when you say consulting work, let's define that for everyone. Consulting on other people's real estate projects?
Yeah, consulting on other real estate, because I really enjoy that, you know, just to help them and give back. So, you know, I have a few projects right now that I'm consulting on in DC. They actually condominium projects that, you know, people want to get in condominium, don't realize that, you know, there's processes, you know, with the city, you know, as far as doing a condo, paperwork, gas, utilities, all of that stuff, you know, have to be taken care of. So you have to really know what you're doing when you're in these markets and stuff like that. So
yeah, a lot of moving parts, isn't it? It's awesome.
It's a lot of moving parts.
Erica wants to know that you're rocking it, so she's proud of you.
Thank you.
She's asking, who would you call, or where would you go online to get connected with the fire damaged?
So I have a list, but in my list, I do charge for that list because I build up relationships with that. So if you want that list, you better talk to me offline because it's a technique to it. So, you know, but, you know, you have to build those relationships with it, because I'm telling you, it took me a minute to try to figure out who these lists, the places is doing it. Trust and believe that. So I don't give that out. But if you want to talk offline, I'll definitely talk to you.
Totally understandable. Cool. And Chase is asking, can you explain more about the Amazon situation? At this Amazon, you said it was a grant, right?
Yeah, it's a grant that they have. So it's a program that well, Amazon is one program, but it's a program called Capital Impact. They came into the DC area, and I'm a minority developer. We only make up 1% in this market. So they have a great program. It's free. That's grant. You go through that program, and that's how you can kind of elevate your business. But they have good funding sources and things like that. But with the Amazon, I will probably, let me see if I can put the link in there. In the chat, I'll find the link and put it in the chat for the meeting is over, and they can look into that. And it's basically Amazon is here, and their main priority is working on affordable housing. So if you're in commercial space, want to do affordable housing, they have all kinds of grants and stuff out there for anyone, any race, but that just been my passion, because as a landlord, I also did Section A as well. I mean, I love my Section A. That's been a passion of mine for many, many years. So that's how I really got into affordable housing.
Very nice. Let me ask you another question about the being a general contractor. Michael was asking, what are the benefits of doing it on your own, of getting your own general contractor license?
Well, let me just say why I got my general contractor license. So, at the end, when you go sell a property, you had the home inspection list, right? So just say, I'm just going to give an example. Just say like the doorknob is loose, and they be like, oh, well, we want a general contractor. We want a licensed person to come. I'm like, a licensed person? Just a doorknob? Like, are you kidding me? So that really would prompt me. So now when I do them home inspections and those little things, oh, we want a license. And I'm like, oh, by the way, here's my license. I'm a general contractor. I'll take care of that. So that's why I got the general contractor license. And so I GC my own properties that I have. So I have a good team on board. So that's what prompted me to get my general contractor license.
It's one way to hammer out that objection. Just okay, fine. I tighten the doorknob myself. It's all set. I'm licensed to fix doorknobs.
Exactly. You don't need a license for no doorknob. And, the agent send that over. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I was like, okay, I got something for them this time. Right? So.
I love it. I love it. Valerie, a lot of people are asking for your contact information for some other things. You are welcome. If you pop it into the chat.
I will.
That's fine. And there might be a few other questions in there as well. I want to be conscious of the time, and I don't want to squeeze David out. So I'm going to move that spotlight on over. You're fantastic, Valerie. Very, very proud of you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. All righty. Bye-bye.
Now, let's see. We've got David Hayes up next. Mr. Hayes, where are you?
I'm right here, Tom.
Right here. There. Oh, I see you now. Look at that. Get you on the spotlight. Awesome. David Hayes. All right. Good to see you. So tell us. Who's David Hayes? Where are you from? Where do you work? And what kind of real estate investing do you do?
Well, I am my father's son. My father is a real estate person. He owned property in Baltimore. He bought them really cheap. He fixed them up himself. I say himself, but he also had me when I was little. So I learned how to do some contracting work working with him. But as fast forward, now I do primarily fix and flips. I've done a couple subject twos. I do a little property management. Like Valerie, I'm just about to kick off some corporate housing. I, like them, have also worked with Al Williamson, and also Gene, because I'm involved in a property right now north of Baltimore that when I first saw it, I fell in love with it, which is a kiss of death for a real estate investor. You don't fall in love with property. It's property.
Careful there.
But one of the reasons why I fell in love with it was because it was a beautiful home, 1935. It was the perfect assisted living property. So I break my real estate investment down prior to October 2018 and after December 2019. So in October 2018, my dad had a stroke. and he required 24-hour care. And I became a caregiver, loved taking care of him. And in 2019, in December, I had a stroke. I told you, I am my father's son. So prior to 2018, when Dad had his stroke, I probably did about 15 individual flips, townhouses, single family homes, things of that nature. I believe that if you do your renovation correctly, the very first word that anybody hears when they walk in the front door should be wow. And if they say wow, and they can afford the property, they're putting a contract on it.
Done.
And so for the first 15, we set the highest comp in the neighborhoods, and we sold them relatively quickly. And that was a combination in Washington, D.C., in Prince George's and Hartford counties.
Yeah.
So in 2017, you made a challenge. You stood in front of Traction REIA and you said, would you like to make $100,000 in a year? And if so, you need to such and such. Well, I've always wanted to make $100,000 on a property. I just couldn't figure out how to do it. So I went ahead, I found a property in Deanwood, Maryland, Deanwood, DC. It's only steps away from the Deanwood Metro. That's a lot of value. I went into the property, I had the engineer come out and the architect come out and do drawings for me. We did everything right. We got all the right permits. We did everything right. And I told the seller that I was going to buy it from him, and I was offered him $90,000. And in 2016, 17, a property in DC for $90,000, that was kind of unheard of.
Yeah.
Well, the seller came back to me and offered me seller financing and reduced the price to $80,000. Well, we did that property. It turned out very well. We sold it for a little over $3 million. Thank goodness I knew Claude Lobby. Claude, I brought him in to consult with me, and he told me what I should price it at. And I was going, really? I said, my goodness, I was thinking about pricing about $80,000 less. So Claude, put a couple of dollars in my pocket because of that, and I appreciated it. But one of the things that people don't talk about is, when you make all this money, you have to pay taxes on it. I was looking at a $40,000 tax bill.
Ouch.
I didn't know how to deal with that. So what I decided to do was, instead of me going ahead and writing a check for $40,000, I figured I'd get some bang for my buck. So I came to Traction, and I don't know how many boot camps I bought. I bought about 3 or 4 boot camps, lined up all the travel and hotel arrangements and all that. And I think the tax bill, when it was all said and done, was something like 15 grand.
Nice.
So that way I was able to write it off. I could write all that stuff off. That made a lot more sense than writing a check for $40,000. But I also was looking at assisted living. Like I said, Dad had a stroke and was unable to take care of himself. So I went out to Phoenix, and who did I run into? Valerie Lucas. And I was thinking, after I'm listening to Valerie and Valerie, I need to change my name to Valerie. But I went out there and I came back and I was more than ready to do assisted living. And that was in I think November, early December of 2019, somewhere along in there. And then I had the stroke. So that sidelined me for a while. And after it sidelined me, I went to rehab. Rehab, they want to know what your goals are. I said, I want to drive, I want to play tennis, and I want to get back to work doing my real estate. And they said, we can do that. I said, okay, let's do it. And so I worked my butt off, and in 2021, I bought this house. It's the biggest property that I've ever done, because I do small stuff. I don't do the big stuff. I deal with the small stuff. I stay in a quasi comfort zone. You know, I remember going to a boot camp one time and a guy said, "Oh, I can really do this, but I don't want to have 2 mortgages." And his fear of having 2 mortgages made him stop doing real estate. And I said, I don't care how many mortgages are, because there is a thing called good debt, and that's when somebody else is paying for it. And so I became a landlord. And being a landlord was a lot of fun. I dealt with Section 8. I dealt with Catholic Charities, which does a lot of the same things that Section 8 may do. I have a Catholic Charities person in one of my properties now. And I found a little niche in Harford County, where if you buy one property, you have a very good chance of having a couple other doors on that same property. So I bought a property in 2006. I bought it. We went to closing on Valentine's Day. I took my wife, and I told my wife, I said, after we walked out of closing, I said, your girlfriends are going to have chocolates and candies, but you're going to have properties for the rest of your life. So that was pretty nice, because we walked out of that deal. My first mortgage payment was $40. A 3-bedroom, a ranch home, a single 1-bedroom apartment, and a studio apartment. And now that is cash flowing a couple $1,000s. But the original payment we made was only $40. Wow. And I got mad because the taxes went up the next year, and it went up to 150. So what else you got, Tom? I know you have some questions.
Oh yeah, let's see. So what was it like recovering from the stroke and getting back in the business? Because I think that's a lot of people get knocked down by various things. That's pretty darn major, David. So what's the key behind that? What's the secret?
Well, I went into rehab, and I told them that I was going to be the best patient they ever had. Anything that they asked me to do, I was going to master it and shock them. I told them that literally. When I found this house and that I'm doing now, it's unfortunately, I do a lot of my own work, and I don't do it near as fast as I used to. So I'm sitting on this thing. It's going into 2 years, and
all day, not much.
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
Okay. So it's going on 2 years. So I'm not moving as fast as I like to, but I know exactly what I want. And I've always known exactly what I've wanted when I go into a property. I buy property in its as it stands value. As it stands. I'm not really looking at things that have real estate signs in front of them. I'm looking at talking with owners. My marketing is a little bit different from a lot of people. Most of my marketing started a long time ago, back when probably 2000, and I would just talk to people. I'm a real estate investor. I buy in it as it stands value. The great thing is I pay people for investing with me better than what you can get in the bank. So just by that statement, it brings questions to people. Well, how can I be involved in your next deal? I've had people come to me and offer money for a property. The property I'm working on right now, I surprisingly got a check for $20,000 from somebody, and I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for it. They came and said, I think you're going to need a little bit more money, and we'd like to, contribute, and we know we're going to get a good return. And that's very important. I always give people a better than average return, because we want to make sure that they come in the next deal, and the next deal, and the next deal. And that's usually the way it works. But I know what I want. And so the stroke just slowed me down. It didn't mess my mind up. It just slowed me down. And all of my contractors, they know not to try to shortcut, because I'm my own general contractor. So I'm on site. I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be looking. Before we close up any wall, I'm there. You have inspectors come, but even inspectors miss some things. So, I do what I do, and I just wanted to keep doing it. So I just fought hard to get back.
Nice. So what have you found to be the most challenging part of finding new deals? Because it sounds like you've got the money source coming in, you're paying people well, you've got your contracting down, you got, you're careful on what you handle on that side of it. What about the sourcing the deals? Has that been
Because
difficult?
I talk about what I do so much, I used to have family members say, "You talk about what you do too much." And I said, "No, that's called marketing." That's called marketing. And so I talk about what I do all the time. And so earlier today, I shared a potential wholesale deal. I talked to this lady 7 years ago, and it came because her neighbor, who was a friend of mine, referred her to me 7 years ago. She had, I don't know why, but back then she didn't want to talk to me. And all of a sudden she reached out in April and she said, "Mr. Hayes, I owe you an apology." And I said, "For what?" She said, "Well, I didn't talk to you 7 years ago." And so I said, "Well, you don't owe me an apology. I mean, it's your right to do what you like to do." And so I was able to, talk to her and show her, identify things to her in the property, such that she was able to understand that if I don't work with him, who's being very open and honest, then I may be working with somebody else who may not be. And so the contract that I'm signing tomorrow is a contract that she actually got a higher bid, and she's going with me. So the challenging parts, I think my biggest challenge was back in 2006 when I bought that property for $40 a month. That was an opportunity cost there. And because I didn't know how to raise money, the opportunity cost put me out of the business for like 2 years. I was totally dumbfounded. That's why I came to Traction REIA, because I had to learn how to find money. I didn't know how to find money. I needed to be around like-minded people who were trying to find money just like I was trying to find money. And so I developed a process. I think I put together a PowerPoint back in the day. We don't do that nowadays, where I actually did a PowerPoint, printed it off, had it binded, and I would hand it out to everybody that I thought may be interested in doing some real estate investing. And it made sense to some people. So it made it a lot easier for me to start learning how to get the money. And both ladies have mentioned Alan Cowgill. Yeah. I went to his boot camp down in I think it was Tampa, I believe. And I went there for one reason. I wanted to make sure that what I was doing in terms of raising funds was not going to get me in trouble.
Yeah.
And so he told me, he said, just add one sentence. I don't remember what that sentence is off, but I just have to go back and look at one of my contracts to show up. But it told me to add one sentence to what I was doing and I'll be fine. And that was well worth that boot camp, because I think since I've started, I think we've probably raised about $2 million.
Awesome.
And it hasn't been $2 million all at one time. Sure. 300 here, 100,000 for rehab here, things of that nature. And then I also have the opportunity to work with some great people. So Gene, of course, Al Williamson, and one of my favorites, Robin Thompson.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been down with her on multiple occasions and highly suggested a lot of people go to her, being the rehab queen. But again, a lot of things that I was doing, I learned the hard way. And I went to these folks and they taught me that what I was doing, it may have been just a little bit off, and they fine-tuned it for me. So I was able to move forward.
Sometimes that little bit of nuance makes a big difference. I mean, if you're getting, what's the value of getting one sentence fixed right so it protects you from trouble or downfalls or losing money or negative government consequences? It's
priceless. It's absolutely priceless.
Priceless. And or the value of networking, getting to know somebody like Claire Labby, And you're saying in one property, you made 80 grand more than you expected.
Absolutely. And Valerie and I are good friends. She talked about her 2 properties that she has across the street from each other. I had an opportunity to go by an open house. One of the best ways for her to market is what she does. Open the doors and let folks walk in. She has a very competent staff. The people know what they're doing. The residents love, what they do. And she's just there working behind the scenes, just, feet moving real fast and just going along the waters, So.
It's been an incredible thing. I'm thinking about it. We don't, Caroline and I often refer to Traction family, and that's just to feel good about it. But you start thinking about it, you make friends, you make business colleagues, you see different things happen, you support each other, you'll go buy a property, see something that's good, you'll share a tip with someone else, you'll make some money with someone else, you'll network where it goes. That's what a business family is all about, isn't it?
Absolutely. I actually gave someone Valerie's phone number and told him to give her a call. She needed a place, and I thought one of her places would be absolutely perfect for her. I don't know. I haven't talked to Valerie since. So I don't know what happened, but so whenever you can help somebody, you help them, and I'm sure the same will go back with us. Matter of fact, I thought about Valerie possibly coming in and doing something with assisted living at the property that I'm working on right now, but I think I'm going to wind up selling it. So,
well, it's nice to have options. Multiple exit strategies is always a good thing.
Yeah, but you know what? You asked the challenge. I guess the biggest challenge that I've had to date. Yeah, we all have issues with contractors and things of that nature, but one of the biggest challenges I've had to date is this particular house that I'm working on right now. There were so many options to follow in this property that I just took my time to make my decision. Now, I was always taught, and I firmly believe today, because I went against this rule, the #1 rule is before you buy, know your exit. And with all the options that I had, and a friend of mine next door owns one building, has 7 units in it. And he said, so have you figured out what you're going to do yet? I said, no, I haven't. But you need to know, because if you know how to renovate. If you're going to renovate to keep, you may renovate different if you're going to renovate to sell. So.
Yeah. David, what's the path forward? What's next for you? Are you sticking with what you've been doing? Are you shifting a little bit? What do you have planned?
That's a good question. I'm actually starting to shift. I've been mentoring more, doing a little property management, and I'm also looking at. I've already developed the business itself. I just have to start doing the work, which is tax overages, dealing with tax sales overages. That's more of a cell phone, computer, laptop, wherever I want to be type business versus Ford F-250 with the trailer and dealing with contractors and all that. So I'm at the point now that I'm starting to get a little bit tired, but I have a lot of information because I've inundated myself with information. Even tonight with Charlie and Valerie, I have 4 pages of notes that I've taken. I'm always learning. I'm always trying to learn that one thing. So it's real important that I am able to spend time with my grandchildren right now. I'm teaching 2 how to drive, and they're not scaring me, so that's a good thing. Yeah.
Not bad. Well, good stuff. We got 4 pages of notes. That's good when you haven't even been able to take notes about the great things you've been saying too. But we'll help you out. We'll get the recording out to you so you can take notes from your own awesome lessons as well. It's fantastic. But it's all good. All right, David. Look, it's at the top of the hour. So I'm going to be. I'll just try to be respectful of everyone's time. We had an awesome spotlight. You shared a ton. Both Valerie shared a ton. Charlie shared a ton. I think there was a lot of value bombs left, right, and center from everybody. Nick shared a ton earlier as well. So I think this is one where even if you were here live, this is a recording worth going over again because there's just a lot in it. I think that's all pretty good. So I've seen a lot of let's see, I'll get comments that are showing up in the chat as well. You go, David, awesome, from Valerie. Thank you, everyone, from Jennifer. Diane Gold saying thank you so much. David, thanks to you all. Great content from Jolene. Oh, David, feel free. I'll pop your contact info into the chat if that's asking for it. Neff is saying wonderful meeting. To Shell, that was very informative. Thank you, everyone. Florian, thank you to everyone. Awesome speakers and great content. Rebecca, you're glad you're doing better, David. Yeah, me too. it's good. Oh, David, I've always liked the name of your company. Tell me the name of your company.
The Property Gym LLC, where we work out real estate issues.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my little tagline. Everybody loves that, but it just made sense. I mean, when I started with Traction REIA back in 2007-8, I think I may have had a different name, and this one really fits. This one really fits. So yeah.
No, that's why we called it that, because we want to help you get traction, and you have. That's what's awesome about it. So it does fit well. Yeah, when we took over, right now we got to work on this name. We changed it up. It was all good. So awesome. Erica's saying thanks so much, everyone. First meeting. So glad I joined. We're so glad you joined too, Erica. Keena saying great meeting tonight. Thanks everyone. Gene, thank you all. Anthony, thanks. David, Darren, very inspiring. Thanks to all the speakers. Rebecca, good content tonight. Thanks Tom and Carolina and all the speakers tonight. Very welcome. Claude saying thanks, Tom, Carolina. Nice event. I agree. I thought it was totally awesome. So I want to thank you all for being here on behalf of Carolina and me. And we will have, what do we say is coming up? Monday night, a webinar with Nick Sidoti on special needs housing. So another awesome niche that you might find that fits you perfectly. So join us on Monday, also on Zoom. Next month in DC, we will be back in person. We have a Thursday evening event and an all-day Saturday training. We're going to be talking multi-unit apartments with Anthony Chara. We've got a Sarasota luncheon the week after that, and we're going to be doing a webinar with Anthony as well. So stay tuned to tractionrea.com and to all of our emails. You know, I like to send a lot of emails. So we'll keep you guys up to date on everything that's happening. And with that being said, grab that link in there, the tractionrea.com/July special. And join in as a member. If you're already a member, that will extend you for a year as well. You grab the newsletter out of there as well. I'll leave the Zoom open for a bit so you can click on any of those links and grab anything you need out of there. And then meanwhile, I wanted to thank all 5 of our speakers, the 4 in the spotlight, and Nick doing the market update tonight is awesome. So the recording for this usually comes out sometimes the next day, sometimes it takes a little bit longer. I don't know what the team does. Sometimes they get it done early, sometimes it takes a bit. But we'll get out to you either way and be in good shape. And oh yeah, Carolina wants to make sure you get your virtual attendance stamp so you can fill it in on your card if you have it. Obviously, we know who was here because you're logged in on Zoom, so it's all good. And if you have, when you have 10 of those stamps, virtual or real or combined, send them over and Carolina will hook you up with the $50 gift card, the free attendance to a Saturday session, or the 3 months membership or extension on your membership. Will be in good shape. So with that being said, we'll wrap it up for the July 2023 Traction REIA meeting success spotlights. I've enjoyed having you all here. It's Tom Zeeb for Traction REIA signing off.